This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. Like former coach Robert Saleh, the Jets have shown GM Joe Douglas the door. ESPN's Adam Schefter reports the team fired Douglas 7 weeks after dismissing Saleh. In Douglas's 5+ seasons, New York 30-64, 0 winning seasons, 0 playoff appearances. How might his firing impact quarterback Aaron Rodgers' future? ESPN NFL reporter Dan Graziano.
Obviously, this is yet another sign that this hasn't worked and he's not likely to be back next year. He has a contract for next year, but the money in it is not guaranteed. And obviously, with a new head coach and now a new general manager coming in, you would think it's a total reset and the Jets start thinking about the future at the position.
NBA Tyrese Maxey called out 76ers teammate and close friend Joel Embiid during last night's team meeting, reports ESPN's Shams Charania. He challenged Embiid to be on time to team activities, called him out about being late for everything and how it impacts the locker room. Coaches and players also held each other accountable, took fault for the 2-11 start to the season. Spurs center Victor Wembanyama out versus the Thunder tonight with a right knee contusion, 9 Eastern on ESPN Radio.
Time with family, laughs with friends, and cash back? Discover's got you covered on the last one. That's because Discover doubles all the cash back you've earned on your credit card at the end of your first year with Cash Back Match. See terms at discover.com/credit card.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio.
Let's ride!
And off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. It's AFR, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. I'm Matt.
Love you, Matt.
Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
News who? And Mr. Toby Tomplake. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. Shea, Dixon in 15 minutes from right now. Bill Bender, Sporting News. He'll be here next hour, and we'll have Sean Salisbury in hour 3. Look forward to that as always. Let us begin as we do every single day.
It's time to pop the top on another edition of AFR with Bud Light. Drink easy.
You know, it's a pretty brilliant thing whenever you could be on a 3-game losing streak and everybody's really mad and people want the coach fired and players benched and coordinators fired and talking about the direction of the program and all that sort of stuff. And you find a way to completely divert all that conversation. You know the best way to do it? The best way when you got a bunch of pissed off people, you're losing games, you can't defend the running quarterback, you go to Florida, you're playing a team down 5 defensive starters, playing a freshman quarterback on a bum wheel. You run 93 plays, but you only manage 16 points and you lose. You know how to get people to forget about all that, stop talking about that? You announce you're going to wear a stupid alternate uniform. That's what you do. So brilliant, actually. Brilliant job, LSU, really. Can we give a big round of applause to everybody over there in the marketing department? Because normally, whenever they're going to wear an alternate, don't they normally announce that later in the week, right? I mean, wouldn't you normally stick a tweet around like Thursday or Friday, I would think?
Normally, yeah. It's all been this year.
Yeah, like whenever they wore the icy whites.
Yeah.
You know, hey, they're like, we'll wear this. Be on like Thursday, Friday, they'd announce that. Nope. Monday, LSU puts out a tweet, all the social media. They're wearing gold jerseys on Saturday against Vanderbilt. I know a lot of you are going to roll your eyes. A lot of you don't care. I just want to win. I get it. So do I. Much rather that. But this pisses me off. It really does. Like, I'm more bothered by this than I should be. And it's not just in a vacuum that I hate the way this looks or that they're doing a one-off and wearing an alternate uniform. It's not just that. And at the risk of sounding like the old curmudgeon, like the old guy in the room, and I know what people are going to say, oh, the recruits love it. I don't care about the recruits. I mean, I do. But when you have something iconic, you don't mess with your brand. Can you imagine going to Yankee Stadium and seeing the Yankees not wearing the pinstripes? How stupid would that be? You know what we're going to do? We're just going to go wear solid whites. Or we'll do like one big horizontal stripe across the belly. That's what we'll do. You know who doesn't wear a whole bunch of alternates? USC doesn't wear a bunch of alternates. Alabama doesn't wear a bunch of alternates. Penn State, Michigan, Texas, Notre Dame. Programs with an iconic brand don't mess with their iconic brand. Oregon's worn a million different uniform combinations. You know why? Because they have no history or tradition. They made their thing. Let's wear a million different uniforms. Good for them. They did it brilliantly. Great. That's because you're Oregon and you've done nothing ever. Ever. You played in a Rose Bowl against Kajana Carter in 95 and he scored on like a 90-yard run on the first play and you got your butt whipped by Kerry Collins. That's your history. It bothers me. And I know what's happened. It's Nike. I know what it is. Like, Jerry DiNardo came in 95, brought back the magic, went back to the history of wearing the white jerseys. Love it. It's your thing. And Nike comes along, and they don't like that LSU wears the same uniform every game because you don't have a home and away. You just wear the gold, white, gold combo. So what did they start to do? They started to work in the purple jerseys for home, non-conference games, aside from your opener or a Power 5 opponents. Like 2007, Virginia Tech, you're wearing white. Big marquee game like that, home opener, you're wearing white. But it's late November and you got an FCS school coming and you're playing Towson. What the hell? Throw on the purples. Okay. And then Nike wanted an alternate uniform. So now you start to see those old gold helmets they wore in 09 against Arkansas, the forgotten season when they had those metallic purple helmets in those uniforms. And you know what? As a one-off every now and again, you can kind of get it. But you know what's happened? You give a mouse a cookie, he'll want a glass of milk. I remember reading that book when I was a kid. Let's be honest, I still like to read that book from time to time. That's what this is. And somebody at LSU has got to put your friggin' foot down. And I don't know if it's Scott Woodward or if it's Brian Kelly or if it's the equipment manager who's probably just doing what he's told. Whoever's decision that is, I understand Nike dictates a lot. And TV dictates a lot. And I get it. I get it. It's part of the deal. Same people that complain about logo patches, sponsor patches on NBA jerseys or on the MLB helmets. And I'm the guy sitting here saying all the time, it doesn't really matter. Like, you're going to make money. You're not going to like it any less because there's a sponsorship patch. And I'm good with that. There's a certain degree that you're willing to go. But with this, you are messing with your iconic brand. Do you realize this will be the sixth different uniform combination LSU will have worn this year through 11 games? 6 combos in 11 games. What are you? What do you want to be? Do you want to bastardize your tradition and your brand for Nike? Apparently so, because that's what this is. You want to give me a one-off? I get it. Look, every now and again, Nike wants you to throw on the purple, so you do it when you're home against Nichols. Got it. No biggie. I get it. I can play ball. 6 uniform combinations in 11 games is freaking ridiculous. You know who wears 6 uniform combinations in 11 games? Vanderbilt. I had Muse dig this up. Muse, tell me all the awful teams that you looked up that have worn that many different uniform combinations. Who have you found?
Speaking of Vandy, it's actually 7 different uniform combinations this year.
Vandy's had 7 uniform combinations. Who else we got?
Oklahoma State?
Yeah, the Cowboys?
Yeah, they've worn a different one in every game, so they're up to 10.
Wow, so a different uniform every game. Yeah. Oklahoma State, got it. Sometimes they wear the little cowboy guy. Sometimes it's script Oklahoma State, or sometimes script Cowboys. Sometimes it's OSU. Never really know what you're going to get.
Never know.
Doesn't really matter. What else you got?
Texas Tech?
Yeah.
8 of them this year.
8 uniform combos. Yep. Sometimes they wear that weird black thing with the caped guy on it. You can't even really tell what it is. That thing? Yep, got it. 8 for them.
Yeah. How about Maryland?
Yeah.
Maryland's,
the Terps. Under Armour?
8.
Yeah, they're the Nike. They're East Coast Nike. They're Under Armour. They're East Coast Nike. Let's just see how many we can do. Who else we got?
Kansas. They're not, very rich in tradition.
Yeah, the Jayhawks.
7 for them as well.
Do you think they're wearing 7 different basketball uniform combinations at Kansas this year?
Actually, I know they're not.
Yeah, why do you think that is?
Because they have great history and tradition.
Oh, no kidding. Yeah. Really? Any more?
That's what I had.
Okay. No, that's good. That's perfect. Because what you are now, you can think whatever you are as a program, LSU. You can think you are whatever you are. But what you are now is you're a fan base that storms the field when you beat Ole Miss, and you wear 6 different uniform combinations. You know what you are? You're Missouri. Congratulations. You're Missouri, you're Texas Tech, you're Vanderbilt, you're Oklahoma State. That's what you are. You're no longer Alabama, Georgia, Penn State, Michigan, Southern Cal, you're Texas. You're no longer a marquee brand because you've taken this iconic look that you have and you've wiped your ass with it. That's what you've done. This is stupid. It is so stupid. And I'm pissed about it. I'm talking to you right now, not as a talk show host who gives you objective opinions about the team. I'm talking to you as a kid who grew up in Louisiana, loving the Tigers, an LSU alum who loves my school. And this pisses me off. It does. You have an iconic look. You have a brand. LSU talks all the time, especially in the NIL world. They won't let anybody but use the marks. Nobody can use those marks because LSU, those 3 letters, this iconic brand. You continue to spit on your brand when you do stupid stuff like this. And at some point, you got to stand up to Nike and say, hey, we'll play ball with you. But all of this crap, 6 different uniform combinations in 11 games? No. We're not Texas Tech. This is LSU. And if you actually believe that, then act like it. Oh, but the recruits love it. Does Ohio On3 just updated their recruiting rankings. Ohio State, Bama, Georgia, top 3, LSU's 4 in the composite. Any of those 3 on your list?
No, they weren't.
Yeah, I didn't think so. But the recruits, you know what the recruits want? NIL money, play in front of big crowds on TV, get to the NFL. That's what they want. Show them that. Oh, but we got awesome gold jerseys. Yeah, I hope you crush it against Vanderbilt because you're looking more and more like Vanderbilt every passing day. It's AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by Clegg's Nursery, 4 locations in the greater Baton Rouge area. Siegen, their Airline, LA16, and Denham, Mid-City on Donmore, and the Garden Center on Greenwell Springs. Was checking the Clegg's Facebook page earlier today, and y'all, my friends over at Clegg's Nursery, they got the Christmas trees coming in, y'all. I'm so fired up for it. Our family tradition, we'll be there next Friday. The Moscona family tradition is Black Friday. We wake up, go get our Christmas tree, go get coffee. I get all the decorations down. Then Erica turns our house into a winter wonderland, and I leave. Or I just watch football. The Christmas trees are there at Clegg's. They're starting to arrive. There's some 12, 13 footers they already got there. I couldn't be more excited, man. I love that family tradition we have, so we'll see you at Clegg's a week from Friday on Black Fridays when we go get our tree. But if you're ready for yours now, you can go get it at Clegg's Nursery. 4 locations, buy local, shop local. Tell them Matt sent you in to Clegg's Nursery.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, party plank, and vinyl siding. But our #1 product is always customer satisfaction.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
Yeah, our show open every day is brought to you by Bud Light. I could use a cold Bud Light right now after that rant to start the show. I know a lot of y'all aren't going to agree with me. I don't care. As a random one-off, you want to wear a gold jersey, in a vacuum, the gold jersey's fine. In a vacuum. You want to wear it once in a while, a one-off thing, sure. 6 uniform combinations in 1 year is friggin' ridiculous. Clean it up, LSU. You're looking like Vanderbilt more and more. All right, Shea Dixon, on 3, the Bengal Tiger, good enough to join us as he does every Tuesday. Early signing period, 2 weeks from tomorrow. Great time to catch up with Shea. How are you, dude?
I'm doing well. How are you, Matt?
I'm doing really well. Okay, let me start with, I think, the big picture question everybody's going to want to know. LSU's lost 3 in a row. Might this cause some wavering for this class?
I think that look, the majority, here's where we start. The majority of this class, all but one player, Jacob Bradford out of Catholic, committed before the season started. And you sell them on the future of what they do when they get here. And that's why I always talk about, barring a Florida State type collapse, that players are not, a class doesn't hemorrhage when you lose 2 or 3 games. Now, very important, they win these final couple, and you get out of the news of people saying you're on a losing streak, all of those things. Other teams can't negatively recruit it, but with 2 weeks to go and in the NIL era and all of this, you get a little more tied into a school maybe than you were before. I think people view it more as, you can just go spend NIL money and flip guys. I think it also helps you hold on to guys. And I would say that we're monitoring Underwood and picking all these guys, but if there's defections in this class, and Brian Kelly talked about this, I think it was on Feinbaum yesterday, he said it's natural. And look, I'd expect Devin Harper was expected. He just happened to announce it right after the game against Florida this past weekend, but that had been one that had already been in the books for a week prior, and Ole Miss made a big NIL push, and Matt, as we move towards rev share and teams kind of balancing out what they'll have and where it goes, if you're coming in the 11th hour and tripling up somebody's NIL offerings or package or however you want to describe it, there's not much a team that's organized everything out it can do in that spot. And then outside of that, I'd say, look, Mike Tyler's a tight end they have committed. They have a tight end, David LaFleur's son out of Salford, but Mike Tyler's from Columbia, and the Gamecocks have been going after him pretty hard in the past couple of months. So he could be one that you just say, I'm not shocked he stays home. And then Derek Meadows will visit here at the end of the season for that Oklahoma game, but he's visited Michigan, Notre Dame. He plays at Bishop Gorman, that's in Nevada, but he's from Michigan. He left Michigan to go play high school football at Gorman. So not a shock that he's looking at schools like Michigan and Notre Dame, who are back closer to home. The big shock was that he committed here in the first place. Everybody thought he was going to Notre Dame. So we'll see how those unfold. But by and large, and I've talked to most of these kids or their parents, I feel pretty good about how this final couple of weeks will go.
One quick follow-up on Devin Harper. You said that was expected. It was just the timing with right after the Florida loss. How big of a loss is that in this LSU class when you look at offensive line? Might they be looking to replace him with another lineman?
Definitely. And look, they're still pushing for Solomon Thomas, one of the top offensive linemen in America. He's been committed to FSU, and he's been firm. He's been one of the kids in that class. Kudos to him, who has stood by him every week and just said, look, I'm committed to the program. But everybody's been pushing for him because he is talented. And he was at Florida last weekend, saw that game. But now this weekend he's supposed to be coming over to LSU, or at least they were working on it, he said. So if he pops up, that would be good news. I don't know if any team can pull him away from FSU, but we'll see how it goes. Yes, Devin Harper is a great lineman. I think he was going to be a guard. He's having a nice senior year, so you want that because you need depth there, you need help there. But the good news is Carius Kern, who I think will finish as a 5-star with us. He's ranked number 29 in the country right now, and we'll have 32 5-stars by the end of it. We kind of expand as we go on. So once you get a 5th star, you're pretty unlikely to lose it, and people aren't jumping back and forth between 5-star and 4-star. He's in that range. So he's the number 2 interior lineman in the country. And Charles Tower and Cody Blair, who run our national rankings, they've watched every kid. They have all the testing, and they said it isn't close, that he's the most athletic in the country, and he's a very good run blocker. He plays some DT as well. So he's one to watch for. Tyler Miller as well, coming out of South Mississippi, and then you've got Bordelon committed. I do think they'd like another, but none of this changes the reality that we knew they're going to need to go back into the portal and probably find some help, at least at one of the guard spots, right?
So, Shea, you mentioned that Carius Kern could finish as a 5-star. One that you've called for months now, so kudos to you, is that Cade Phillips out of Texas would end up as a 5-star. On3 released their new rankings, and sure enough, Cade Phillips, now the number 23 overall player in the country at On3, and a new 5-star with On3. Give us a thought on Phillips and what LSU has here with their cornerback combo and tandem in DJ Pickett and Cade Phillips.
They're not going to call me into the scouting services anytime soon. This one is very easy to call. If Corey Raymond wants you and flips you from Texas, and then they did a future freaks list. Charles and Cody did it On3, and DJ Pickett's on it. The number 1 corner is committed to LSU, but so is Cade Phillips. And when you talk about his measurements and what he's able to do on the track, he was a state finalist and the long jump, played multi-sports all the way until he's focusing now on football and track, obviously. It's everything that he would build in the lab of who you need to come help rebuild this program. And he's playing at a high level over at Hightower in Texas. And I was like, hey, look, it's pretty evident that if Corey circled 3 kids, this kid's probably not the 23rd best corner in the country. He's going to end up being way higher than that. And sure enough, he got his 5th star. So 2 5-star Corey. This is why you bring Corey Raymond back, right? All of that buzz back in January of is he washed? Does he still have it? The entire defensive staff appears to have at least brought along this defense further than they were last year. Without a lot of the draft picks that were on last year's team, and without Perkins and Guillory and all those guys, and you've got 2 5-stars, the number 1 and 4 corners, and you've got the number 1 corner in Louisiana and Aiden Anding out of a really good Ruston team and a Ruston defense that's so well coached. I think that this is up there with the highest state, in my opinion, and the opinion of others, that it's the best cornerback class in America.
On Twitter at Shea Dixon, On3, the Bengal Tiger. You can catch him there. Shea, so you mentioned Phillips getting his 5-star, his 5th star, Kern. Anything else in the new On3 rankings that stands out to you that people should be aware of?
Well, you got to always mention who's number 1 there, who's going to go wire to wire, it appears. Bryce Underwood as the number 1 overall player, not just quarterback. DJ Pickett still top 5 overall, number 1 corner. Harlem Berry still top 20. I believe he's the only running back who's ranked as a 5-star right now. I think he's at 17, 18, 19, something like that. But we try, or they try, I should say, Charles and Cody and the rankings team, to reflect the 32 number being that's what an NFL draft first round might look like. We know the value of NFL running backs right now. Most teams are not drafting them very high in the first round. So for Harlem to be in the top 20 speaks to his talent. He is the best running back in America and a hell of a pass catcher. So that group, you had Cade Phillips in the 20s now, and Karis Kearns 29. So I think he'll end up being a 5-star. So you could have 5 of the 32 5-stars, with Jakeem Stewart, who's also a 5-star, still out there. So class, Matt, they've recruited. I just talked about how often all year with you that I thought it was so good top to bottom. They may end up with 5 or 6 5-stars. Like, the top's really, really elite.
Let me ask a follow-up on Jakeem Stewart there. Latest, as we're here 2 weeks from 2 weeks in a day from the early signing period?
I think he's having the time of his life. He was just out at USC for that OV. Shared pictures, hanging out with Juju Watkins. I think, he got the whole tour of everything that USC has to offer. And now he is back to, I think it's, or maybe Oregon. No, Ohio State is his final visit, and that's in 2 weeks, I believe.
Yeah, for the Michigan game, right?
Right. I don't know if he's back to Oregon this weekend or something else, but it's going to come down, in my opinion, to this grouping of LSU, obviously. LSU, USC, Oregon, Ohio State. That's the teams he gave visits to. Alabama, Georgia, none of those teams have really been in the mix at this stage. So I'm still, he's going to have fun. All of these schools are going to have some confidence, but I'm going to wait till the dust settles, because I know what Frank Wilson can do in New Orleans. I know how much they put into this one, and I want to see where things are at, because his LSU official visit went very well, and you'll notice there wasn't as a lot of public talk on the Jakeem side about him and how much he experienced on the visit, what all happened, and I think that we might be in for kind of nobody knowing going into it, but LSU feeling quietly confident about what the result will be.
Couple more for you, Shea. All right, here's your obligatory Bryce Underwood question, as we're 2 weeks and a day out from the early signing period. Everybody's holding their breath a little bit with all the reports of money floating around from Michigan. What's your take there on the latest with Bryce?
I think they're going to do anything they can to hold on to him. This is your number one player. This is someone that's a program changer. This is a not once in a lifetime at all, or a decade even, but I think that most recruiting analysts, I know ours, think that he's the best quarterback in recent classes, and that includes Nico and other guys, and one of the best over the past decade, certainly. He can run it. He can throw it. He's 6'4". He's got every hand measurement to anything that you want, speed-wise, athleticism. He processes so well. He's the total package, and you can't let that go in the end when he's been committed this long and very clearly wants to be here. And they've done a lot of work to set this one up. So I think we're just in the stages right now, Matt, and you can add to this if you feel, because I know that you're privy, not to just recruiting and Bryce, but just how this world is working, that you've got to now have paperwork that, attorneys look over and all of these different things. I mean, remember when this all started, Nick Saban was the first one to come out and say, nobody sign anything without a third party looking at it that ain't your coach and that ain't your mom and that ain't your dad and somebody else. And obviously now, a couple of years into the NIL era, that's pretty commonplace. And I think once they get past that, which they may be by now, I know it's something going on over the weekend with it, but you're kind of in those final stages. This is just where it's at. The official visit happened. It went great. You kind of iron out all the remaining details, and signing days in 2 weeks. I'd be very, very surprised at this stage if he ended up at Michigan. And if he does, it will be the most outlandish NIL number that anyone has ever heard and couldn't even have fathomed.
Hey, Shea, one quick follow-up. With the early signing period and the letter of intent program going away, is a week from 2 weeks from Wednesday, is that still a formal day whereby when a player, quote unquote, signs their financial aid agreement, whatever it may be, are they bound to that school that they sign with at that point?
Well, we know that you can ask out for it for variety of, coaching changes, stuff like that. You can ask out and get granted. That's what happened with Alabama a year ago, where they signed a bunch of guys in December, Saban retires, and everyone's like, all right, well, I'm getting out of it now and going somewhere else or doing whatever. But it largely hinges usually, and they change the laws every 5 minutes of how the NCAA governs it, but I'm pretty sure that it is just involving coaching changes and then how you could maybe pitch that to, hey, I came here for this and I'm not getting it, so I'd like to go somewhere else.
Okay, last thing for you. Let's talk portal because, Shea, obviously how LSU finishes in this signing class on the 4th is massive. But the Tigers weren't big spenders in the first portal window a year ago, and the consensus is they have to be in this coming portal window. Make sense of that for me, if you would, and what direction you think they go and how they balance the high school class and what they do in that first portal window.
From everything I've heard, and I'll ask you, and then I'll continue on. From everything I've heard, and this is kind of a big question. Well, you're getting all these 5 stars, the high school workers. Do they have any money for the portal? This is why they brought Austin Thomas back. This is why you get very involved with building out your collective in the right way. And as you move towards rev share, get a good firm grip on how that could happen over the summer and what it means for your program and how you allocate money, everything else. But I firmly believe, and from trusted sources, that LSU knew this, right? Like they knew, hey, if we want a really good recruiting class, we still want a good portal class. They've got the money, is what I have heard. And would you agree or disagree there? I feel good about that one.
What I said on air Monday is I'd rather not say a dollar amount, which I have been told, and I 100% believe my information is 100% good. But I'd rather not say the dollar amount on air. But LSU will spend more than double on its 2025 roster than it did on its 2024 roster.
And that's the direction teams are having to go right now. Certainly one in LSU's position. We know that. Okay, so we're on the same page.
Mm-hmm.
If the plan is to take 5 to 10 guys, Matt, which Brian Kelly stuck by, he said, I want to sign 25 to 30 high school guys. They have 26 right now. I want to sign 5 to 10 portal guys. They signed 9 a year ago. I can count 3 or 4 that are helping you. That 4 that start right now, the number is lower of the ones I would say that are really helping you. On the field weekend, being big impact players. Where does that number have to be is my question, because I think that if you're signing 9 to 10 in this current position, Matt, you can't. It almost feels like 7, 8. Like not everyone's going to hit, but 7 or 8 of them might need to be really impact players, or at a position blocking tight end where you have to have it. Whatever it is, you can't be at a hit rate of under 50% again. And I'll let you share your thoughts there, but I think that's really gone. That went sideways for them a year ago. It didn't the year prior. They hit on a lot of those guys, and a lot of them are still here starting for them. But they need to make sure this cycle it is a very focused approach on, hey, how can we go out and get guys that can impact this team next year?
It's also interesting, I think, what guys might return, because there is some scuttle. Shea, I don't have any degree of confidence on this, but what I do know is they are having conversations with Emory Jones, Harold Perkins, Mason Taylor, all about returning. There's at least an open door for any or all of those 3 to return. I think that does change the conversation a little if any of those guys come back.
1,000,000%, but you're going to need those answers quicker maybe than you normally would, because of the shortened portal window, and I don't believe the NFL draft deadline changed, which would mean mid-January.
Correct.
So the portal's done by then. So yes, you want to have a good feel for all of those before that happens, because let's remember, I think that they kind of felt they had some guys coming back a year or 2 ago, was it last year, that didn't, and it was out of the portal window, and then you get the spring portal window, and boy, lesson learned, right? Not that Piaz and Suggs have not been good for them, but there just wasn't much out there for you to choose from. So whatever work they're going to do in the portal, and look, I have full faith that they know how badly they need to make impacts and at which positions, and they'll have eyes on guys that we don't even realize right now, or even probably going into the portal. That's how all of this works right now for every team. But that it's got to be addressed then. You can't go to the spring again, basically. Like, there is no way you can go into the spring again and saying, well, we still need to address X, Y, and Z. It's just not an outcome that you want to kind of risk. And I think we saw it this past spring for a lot of teams.
Shea Dixon on 3, the Bengal Tiger. Y'all were 2 weeks away from the early signing period. No better time to go find Shea.
That makes me happy. It's not December 18th, it's the 4th. Boy, that makes me happy.
Get it knocked out well before the holidays. At Shea Dixon on Twitter, on 3, the Bengal Tiger. All right, thanks, man. We appreciate you as always.
Anytime, Matt.
All right, be well. It's after further review. Stick around.
AFR.
Brought to you by Glow Resources, Complete Employer Solutions, glowresources.com. You know, Glow Resources, they have a 96% success rate. Think about that. Over the course of a year, they hire some 1,500 employees, and they have a 96% success rate. It's incredible. If the employee they hire for your business doesn't work for whatever reason, they'll give you a prorated refund, or they'll find you a new employee for free. What do you have to lose? You want to be more efficient in your business? You want to find the right people who are more productive, the right people for the job, your culture? Let Glow Resources use their wide net. Skilled blue-collar labor, professional placement division for any office or white-collar job, you need Glow Resources. Check them out online at glowresources.com.
Let's talk turkey. Bayou Ford can get you in a new 2024 Ford F-150 with $15,000 off MSRP. $15,000 off America's favorite F-150 truck. All new Bayou automotive vehicles come with a complimentary 7-year powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs, even in the case of an after
Further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
Saturday's the day. Saturday's the day. LSU Vandy, Saturday's the day. They're drawn for the John Deere Gator. The LSU John Deere Gator. They're drawn for it on Saturday. Get your tickets. $20 a ticket? Might be $25. SunEquip.com. SunEquip. Sun, E-Q-U-I-P. SunEquip.com. You'll see right there on the homepage. All the money raised goes to 4-H and FFA. So benefiting great causes. You might want a John Deere Gator with LSU logos all over it. It's awesome. Go check it out at SunEquip.com. Shout out to Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. Muse sent me a prep document today and said Kansas City basketball are a-holes. I was like, there isn't a basketball team in Kansas City. You meant the University of Kansas City? Or is it Kansas City U?
The Ruse, yeah.
Is it the University of Kansas City or Kansas City U?
It is the University of Missouri, Kansas City, but they go by Kansas City.
University of Missouri. Why are they a-holes?
Because, I don't know if you saw this, so they played Calvary University last night and beat
Calvary Baptist, the high school up in Shreveport?
Basically.
Okay, got it.
Calvary University is a member of the National Christian College Athletic Association.
Oh.
The NCCAA.
The NCAA.
And furthermore, they're a Division II school.
Got it.
In that league association with zero scholarship athletes. They are comprised of non-scholarship athletes. First of all, why are you scheduling them in your regular season?
Need a dub.
And they beat them by 100 points.
Awesome.
No, it's not awesome.
Yes.
No. And not to mention...
What do you mean? That is awesome.
That is not awesome.
Oh, look at that score. 119-19.
And they want to flaunt that it's their second win of 85 points or more because they also beat Kansas Christian by 88 points. No, not
They're just beating the hell out of all these Christian schools.
You're Kansas City.
They're beating the hell out of all these Christian schools.
You've never been to the NCAA tournament. You have no... And why? So why are you...
Hang your banner.
...just beating up on a NCCAA Division II school?
Because they're across from you.
Dude, that is so weak.
No mercy.
That is so
Remember what
weak.
the jerk coach in Mighty Ducks said, Muse? It's not worth winning if you can't win big.
They suck for that, man. That's
I'm buying
just
me a Ruse
so
hat.
Weak. Get out of here.
I'm buying me a Ruse shirt. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go over to 929 Misfits, and I'm going to have Michelle Southern design a shirt with that final score, and I'm going to wear it on this show. Go get them, Kansas City.
What did
no
you
mercy!
Gain? What did you gain from that?
A dub.
Weak, man. That's
and
weak.
We're talking about, no, you're weak.
No.
You're all about 8th place trophies. Let's make everybody feel good about themselves. How about this? How about, let me flip it on its head for you, Muse. What's that school called that lost?
Calvary University. Calvary University.
How about this, Calvary? Don't take the game. What are you doing playing a Division I school? Why don't you fight someone your own size? Huh? Why are you taking that game?
Well, I don't think, for one, they expected to get humiliated on
their
purpose
fault.
by 100
Then how about this?
points. I hope Kansas City gets destroyed this year.
Then how about this? Show up and play. You know what I respect, Muse?
I think they tried.
You know what I respect, Muse? That 19 points. You know what that means? Even when you're up 75, you're still out there D'ing up. You got your hands out. Intercepting those passing lanes, Muse. Grabbing the boards. Putting a body on somebody. Contesting shots on the perimeter. I love that effort from the Ruse. 119-19. Inject that into my veins. Go University of Missouri, Kansas City. 119-19. I'm here for it.
I hope they lose every game they play the rest of the year.
They might. It's After Further Review. We're brought to you by South Point Volkswagen, southpointvw.com. New and certified pre-owned in Baton Rouge and online. southpointvw.com, southpointvw.com. Fall savings event going on right now over at South Point Volkswagen. That means sign, then drive. You kidding me? 0 down, 0 due at signing, no first month's payment, no security deposit. You sign your name, you drive off in a brand new vehicle from South Point Volkswagen. There was a gent who texted me on the show text line just yesterday, said, well, Scone, I finally took your advice. I went to South Point Volkswagen, and I got an Atlas Cross Sport. It's exactly what I drive. You take the Atlas, the 3-row, 7-seater family SUV, you take out that third row, you got to love it. A little sleeker design, all the great style, feel, performance of luxury without the cost. Great safety features, manufactured right here in the USA of A at their Chattanooga, Tennessee plant. South Point Volkswagen. SouthPointVW.com, South Point Volkswagen. What's your direction? Okay, let's do it. Let's go around the SEC.
Around the SEC, bringing you the biggest news from the nation's best conference, the Ole Miss Rebels.
So Lane Kiffin updated Trey Harris's status ahead of the Florida matchup. Midseason All-American, of course, had been injured, left the game against LSU. He's been on the injury report ever since. Lane Kiffin optimistic, though, that they could see Trey Harris back on the field against Florida this weekend. Quote, we're getting stronger being out there. Trey's now looking like he's ready to go. Really excited to have the best receiver in the country back. It'll be massive. Harris hasn't played in over a month, but despite not playing in a month, he's still leading the SEC in receiving.
The Kentucky Wildcats.
Mark Stoops confirms Brock Vandagriff will start at quarterback for Kentucky against Texas. Cutter Boley started the second half against Murray State this past Saturday. Cutter Boley completed 71.4% of his passes for 130 yards, a pair of touchdowns, and no interceptions. Vandagriff been the starter all season, and Stoops says still gives Kentucky the best chance instead of starting Cutter Boley.
The Alabama Crimson Tide.
Get Sharif on the line, please. I'm serious, call him. Alabama linebacker Keanu Coate entering the transfer portal. He looked at Kalen DeBoer and said, "Pah! That's what I think about you, Hefty Harsin." Meanwhile, Alabama opened up their wallets and paid Ivan Taylor, a safety, to flip from Michigan.
The Florida Gators.
2025 interior offensive lineman Daniel Pierre-Louis has flipped his commitment from Florida State to Florida. You want to talk about a program that is melting down right now? Florida State. Holy moly. Also, the Gators landed a commitment from defensive lineman Stephon Shivers, the number 12 player in the state of Tennessee. 6'4", 365-pound defensive lineman, number 49 defensive lineman in the country.
The Texas Longhorns.
And Texas and Notre Dame, that'd be Notre Dame, officially announced a home-and-home series in 2028 and 2029. Let's see. 2028 game will be in South Bend. 29 will be in Austin. They had a home-and-home series back in 1952 and 1954, as well as 1995 and 1996. They've also met in Cotton Bowl 3 other times. Notre Dame and Texas will play coming up in a few years. Okay, there you have it. That is Around the SEC. Tuesday shows powered by Sunshine. Your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana will wrap up hour number 1 next. Don't you move.
AFR.
Brought to you by the Watermark Hotel and the Renaissance Hotel, 2 amazing hotel properties, Watermark Downtown, Renaissance Southtown, the Watermark, Baton Rouge's premier hotel property. If you've not been to the Watermark Hotel, y'all, voted by you, the best hotel in the best of 225, this is Baton Rouge's premier luxury hotel, the Watermark Downtown on 3rd Street, the original Louisiana National Bank building, Baton Rouge's original high-rise. And I've told you this before, but you have to go experience it. Even if you're not going to stay, maybe a staycation, or you have relatives coming in, it's worth it if you're going to have a night on the town just to pop into the Watermark, just to hang out at the Watermark lobby bar and experience the architecture and the history of the building, the marble staircase that goes into the basement where the bank vaults used to be, that they've hollowed out into these boardrooms now, where you can rent those for meetings, so many different reasons, even for office space. They can have a wedding reception there. You got to check it out. Downtown, it's the Watermark Hotel.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram can get you in a new 2025 Ram 1500 truck with $15,000 off MSRP. $15,000 off the newly designed Ram 1500 truck. All new Bayou Automotive vehicles come with a complimentary 7-year powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial properties. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a...
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
The Jake Paul-Mike Tyson fight, we now know, is the largest grossing gate for a sporting event, for a boxing match outside of Las Vegas in history. Also, we learned today that it was the most streamed global sporting event ever. Netflix releasing 108 million live global viewers. That actually makes a lot of sense, considering the stream buffered and sucked basically the entire thing. Erica said to me that she thought, and my wife knows nothing about sports. She's not a conspiracy theorist. So just understand, this is someone with no perspective on this whatsoever, because I was getting very frustrated. And she said, oh, they're just doing this to make people talk about it more. And interestingly enough, while it buffered the whole undercard, when Tyson and Paul walked out, there was maybe perhaps, because they did dominate social media timelines. But everyone's saying this was rigged. Like, if you're saying this is rigged, you don't watch fights. Amuse, do you know Mike Tyson's famous line that everybody quotes?
Didn't he tell someone he was going to eat their children?
Well, he did say that.
Yeah.
But so there's many famous lines, but there's one in particular where he says everyone has a plan until
you get punched in the face.
Yeah. So everyone's like, did you see Mike Tyson and all those training videos? Yeah, I did. And then you know what happened? He got in a ring, and a 27-year-old kid popped him in the head a few times, staggered him, and then you know what happened? He never got his legs back because he's 60 years old. Everybody's got a plan until you get punched in the face. Anyway, anyone who expected that to go any differently than it did, shame on you. Okay, all right, Sharif, we have Sharif. Excellent. So we're doing around the SEC. Sharif, thank you for calling. No, thank you for calling. You're the worst. But in any event, we're sort of glad you're here because there's one thing in the world that you're good at, and that's identifying fratastic names. So how are you today?
I'm better than
don't
you.
Care. I don't care. All right. So anyway, we have a player from Kentucky. Did you watch Kentucky play football this week, by the way?
Why would
I
watch
don't care. I don't care which. Anyway, let me just get to the point. Sharif, you're the worst. So there's a player from Kentucky. He's a quarterback. His name is Cutter, Cutter, Cutter Boley, Boley. Cutter Boley. Where does Cutter Boley rank on the fratastic name scale?
Don't want to disappoint you, Matt, like I always do, but Cutter is a name I've heard before, so that we're going to keep Cutter ranked in the 4 stars.
Okay.
Because it's not a 5-star name today. I've heard it before. I appreciate you calling me, and I know you feel let down, but you let yourself down with a name like Cutter.
Well, I did let myself down because I called you and welcomed you onto the show because you're the worst. But I wonder if maybe you're just hearing Cutter and thinking like Cutter and Buck, the brand, and not actually associating it with a name. Have you actually heard this as a name before, or you just know it as an apparel brand?
No, I've heard the name Cutter a few times before.
Okay.
And it's a non-sports name, so
yeah.
you're
Well,
going to have to bring it next time, Matt.
Well, that's why we go to you, because while you are terrible at darn near everything else, the one thing you can do is you can identify Fratastic names for us. 5-star Fratastic names. That is Sharif. No, thank you for the time.
Not anytime.
Yeah, okay. Anyway, that is Sharif Ishak, the absolute worst, but the best when it comes to identifying Fratastic names. Hour number 2 is next.
AFR.
Brought to you by Shawbills Tire and Auto Service, ShawbillsTire.com, ShawbillsTire.com. Remember, if you're hitting the road for Thanksgiving, over the hills, through the woods, to grandmother's house we go. You need tires, get them at Shawbills. You go to ShawbillsTire.com to shop tires. You go to ShawbillsTire.com to schedule service. Maybe you need your tires rotated, alignment, balancing, oil change, check engine light on, whatever it may, brakes are squeaking, whatever you need done, Shawbills can help you. The best part about Shawbills is they'll sell you name brand tires at wholesale prices, and they'll treat you like family. So you'll keep coming back year after year after year. So proud to continue to remind you about my friends over at Shawbills, Miss Beth Barron, named Modern Tire Dealer of the Year, national recognition as the best dealer in the country by Modern Tire, and they deserve it because for more than 50 years, Shawbills has kept you rolling. ShawbillsTire.com. Shawbills, we keep you rolling.
Let's talk turkey. Bayou Ford can get you in a new 2024 Ford F-150 with $15,000 off MSRP. $15,000 off America's favorite F-150 truck. All new Bayou automotive vehicles come with a complimentary 7-year powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi, breaking NHL news. After stumbling to a losing record in their first 20 games, the Bruins fired coach Jim Montgomery. Associate coach Joe Sacco is interim head coach. 7 weeks after firing coach Robert Saleh, the Jets fired GM Joe Douglas. In his tenure in New York, 30-64, no winning seasons, no playoff appearances. He built a roster with a couple of young stars, but did have a huge miss in quarterback Zach Wilson in 2021. ESPN NFL analyst Jeff Saturday.
When you draft a QB second, and then, it doesn't go well, and then you bring in a guy and it's not going well, and some of your high picks are just, they're just kind of playing okay. I think at the end of the day, Woody was just decided, hey, I'm going to scrap it all and restart this thing.
Jeff Saturday on Carlin versus Joe. NBA during last night's 76ers team meeting. Tyrese Maxey challenged teammate and close friend Joel Embiid to be on time for team activities. Called him out about being late for everything, how it impacts the locker room, reports ESPN's Shams Charania. Oregon has secured a berth in the Big Ten championship game. Opponent to be determined.
Guess what? Discover's accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. You heard right, 99%. If you don't think so, maybe it's time to face facts. You're stuck in the past. Based on the February 2024 Nielsen report. Learn more at discover.com/credit card.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio.
Let's ride! Go!
Hour 2, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. It's AFR, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. I'm Matt.
You're a loser, Matt!
Hey, shut up, kid. Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
Yes, sir. And Mr. Toby Tomplay. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there, make it a good one. Bill Bender of the Sporting News in 13 minutes. Sean Salisbury next hour. We'll look forward to that. Saints head into their bye week with a little feel good in the belly. After a 7-game losing streak, losing 7 straight. You've won back-to-back games on your home field. You beat your rival, the Atlanta Falcons. You finished strong against the Cleveland Browns to win 35-14, run away and hide. And all the while, the division has kind of come back to you a little bit. Atlanta's hit the skids. They get blown out by Denver. The Bucs have lost 4 in a row. A lot of people right now are asking the question, can the Saints maybe go on a run here and get back in the race and win the division and make the playoffs? I don't necessarily believe that's the case. The team that I would actually keep an eye on, they are not the Atlanta Falcons, but actually the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. If you look at Tankathon, strongest remaining strength of schedule, Atlanta has the 21st most difficult remaining schedule. The Saints 25th, but Tampa 31st. Only Jacksonville plays an easier schedule the rest of the way. The only opponent the Bucs play the rest of the way with a winning record is the Chargers. Aside from that, they got the Giants, the Raiders, the Cowboys, the Panthers twice, and the Saints. So if you're looking for a team to make a run, it's probably Tampa. But all that said, it's hard to ignore what the Saints have done for 2 weeks under Darren Rizzi. And I'm not just talking about winning the game, but it's something we focused a good bit on. It's how they've won. The Atlanta game, you were thoroughly outplayed. You were outgained by 100 yards. You got doubled up on your rushing total. But you made winning plays. You blocked a field goal. You had the key turnover 2 key turnovers in the fourth quarter, takeaways to seal that game. I could look at the game against Cleveland. I mean, the play that you got a big stop defensively on a 4th down early in the game. Then you turned that into a touchdown late in the game. Tie ball game, 4th quarter. You're at their 33-yard line. You could go line up for a 50-yard field goal to take the lead. Instead, you go for it on 4th and 2, single wing Taysom Hill, boom, 33-yard touchdown, place goes nuts, and then the Saints rolled from there the rest of the way. Darren Rizzi's pushed the right buttons. He's got buy-in, he's got belief, and it's pretty clear he's instituting good culture around that locker room right now. And not just in the locker room, but also in the city. And that's something Darren Rizzi said when he was speaking to reporters on Monday about how he's kind of been received since being named interim head coach.
Yeah, I can't stop by my favorite cheeseburger spot anymore on the way home. So, no, people have been outstanding. I'm not out in public that often, as you can imagine. This is where I am most of the time. But the few times that I've stopped for gas or stopped for a cheeseburger or stopped on the way home or certainly going to the Pelicans game the other night with my boys, the people of the city have been phenomenal and no surprise. So just very, very welcoming and really, really cool, really awesome.
And there is a bit of an underdog mentality there. Darren Rizzi, and I'm bringing this up because a lot of people are starting to ask the question about, is Darren Rizzi a candidate, a legitimate candidate for the full-time coaching job? Look, he's 54 years old, and he is a coaching lifer. He became a coach as a GA back at Colgate in 1993, and we've run through his career, and the only time that he was a head coach was at New Haven from 1999 to 2001, and then for one season at Rhode Island in 2008. During his time in the NFL, starting in 2009 up until now, he's basically been a special teams guy. So, for the Saints, I think there's two ways you kind of look at this. And I want to be very clear before I give you like a definitive answer and run through my take. Nobody should be making a definitive answer today. It's 2 games. You have a large sample the rest of the season on which you can judge Darren Rizzi because they're not going to win out. So how they handle a loss and that disappointment, you'll learn about it. Do they come back and play hard? Can they rebound from that? What's the culture and vibe continue to be like around the organization the rest of the way? So we'll get a bigger sample size of Darren Rizzi, and we'll have more information to be able to make a decision. It's like when you're dating someone. You don't propose to them on the first date or even the second date. I guess some of you do, love at first sight. But for the most part, like there's a courtship, and you learn about someone, and you learn about their great benefits and their great character traits, and you learn about their flaws, and you learn if you're compatible and all these different things. And so you'll have this courtship with Darren Rizzi now through the rest of the season. But when you're making a hire, it basically comes down to, if you're looking at Rizzi, are you looking for the coach or are you looking for culture? In the perfect world, you could have both. But that's not always the case with head coaches. And sometimes you don't know it until they become a head coach. Like if I were to ask, who's the best coach? Muse, Paul, like who would you say is the best head coach in the NFL right now, currently? I'm not like Belichick's not coach. I'm talking like currently in the NFL, who's the best head coach?
Andy Reid.
Okay, Paulie?
Andy Reid.
Okay. Is there a better example of culture and, by the way, a great offensive coach?
No.
You got them both.
Yeah.
Right? That is bar none, not even a doubt. He's the best blend of both. A guy that his players love, and oh, by the way, he's also an awesome offensive mind, how creative he is in Kansas City. We talked a lot about Eric Bieniemy, kind of riding sidecar to Andy Reid. And with Bieniemy sort of leaving, remember he went to Washington, now he's at UCLA, and the whole thing was he needed to escape Andy Reid's shadow to prove he could be that guy as well. Well, Kansas City hasn't missed a beat. And I understand their offense isn't this year what it's been, but in large part, you could look at injuries as a massive component to what's happened there. Well, after Andy Reid, if I said, okay, well, guys, like who else would you put on that list? Like, so Andy Reid, best coaches in the NFL.
Sean McDermott.
Okay, Sean McDermott. It's weird, man. Some people thought he'd been fired if they don't make a run this year. But yeah.
I would say John Harbaugh.
John Harbaugh, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Any others?
McVay.
Sean McVay. Like these are all right. These are on the short list of what everybody says. It's not a trick question. Anybody else? Kyle Shanahan?
Yeah, Shanahan.
Everyone always mentions Shanahan. Mike Tomlin?
Oh, God, I'm mad at myself for not mentioning Mike T, actually.
There's one that you haven't mentioned that I hoped you would. It's Dan Campbell.
Yeah.
Because Dan Campbell is probably the best example of what you hope Darren Rizzi could be. See, there's two ways to look at this when you're making a hire. Yes, you want to blend coach and culture. If you can get Andy Reid, that's both, that's awesome. But the reason you go for the great coach, either offensively or defensively, is you don't concern yourself as much with turnover on your staff. When you're Bill Belichick and you're one of the greatest defensive minds ever, you're going to churn through coordinators in New England. It happened. It was Romeo Crennel and it was Eric Mangini, and there was this long list of coaches that came through, and they got plucked away because people wanted a little piece of that magic, whatever it was. Look at what's happening right now in San Francisco with Shanahan, or in LA with McVay. People want to pluck branches from that tree to steal some of that. If it's Ben Johnson, if it's Kevin O'Connell, look around the league. Mike McDaniel. People are trying to, it's a copycat league. You want little pieces of those branches. But because you've got Shanahan and McVay, you're not worried about losing the coordinator because you still got the puppet master. So your offense, in theory, shouldn't miss a beat. So that's kind of where I think if you're the Saints, where you are right now, you look and say, okay, and this is what I've advocated for them doing, saying, okay, go get the guy off of that Shanahan-McVay tree. You just hired a defensive coach or an NFL retread. You know, you hired from within, and it didn't work. So why would you, again, hire from within, veteran guy, not an offensive coach? Like, go the other way. Go the opposite of what you just did. Go hire the young offensive mind. Like I've told you, my number one choice is Ben Johnson. But that's the guy everybody wants, and I don't think the Saints are going to be the most attractive job for him when he has offers that no doubt will come for him this offseason. But I look at Campbell, and I can't help but think, like, could you have promoted Dan Campbell and ultimately had him here? But I rewind the clock, and a lot of people are saying the same thing about Aaron Cromer, who was your offensive line coach. He was kind of like the next big thing. He served as an interim during the Pountygate year, ultimately got an opportunity there with the Bears, and it didn't work out for him. But I will point out, there are examples of successful coaches that aren't the coordinator, the puppet master offensively or defensively. We just mentioned Dan Campbell. I mean, Dan Campbell played tight end, and he was an interim in Miami. When Flores got axed, he was an interim in Miami, and he could have gotten that job, and they passed on him. Detroit hired him, and clearly the thing he has done there has brought culture. Now, the long-term question about Campbell is what happens when you inevitably lose your two coordinators? Because Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn are going to get head coaching jobs. So are you able to replace them? One guy that's been able to do it very successfully is John Harbaugh, who Muse mentioned, which is a great comp as well. John Harbaugh, was a special teams coach, by the way, as well. So he's a guy who's instilled great culture, great stability in that organization for 2 decades now, and he's been able to hire replacement coordinators when his guys have either retired or gotten plucked away. So there is a blueprint that says it's possible. It's possible to win consistently, to win big, to maintain stability with a coach that isn't the play caller. And maybe the most important thing, on top of being the offensive genius or whatever it may be, is building culture. It's a chicken or the egg question. What do you want? Do you want the play caller or the culture? Does the play calling beget winning, which builds culture? Or do you build culture first, which then begets winning? And I don't know the answer to that. There's different ways to skin a cat. But for me, I'm looking at reducing risk. How can you reduce risk and potentially have the biggest payoff? I still think no matter what, if it's Rizzi or if it's Ben Johnson or one of those coordinators, if you're hiring a first-time head coach, there's tremendous risk. The question is, what do you want? Do you want the culture first, or do you want the great play caller? Ideally, you get both. But if you hire Darren Rizzi, you're getting one without the other. And you're hoping the culture builds and continues to grow, and it makes you more attractive to free agents and other great coaches that want to be part of your organization. But the opposite can also be true. You could hire Darren Rizzi, and he could whiff on coordinator hires, and you could not be very good, because this is still a roster that's going to go through some growing pains. Because you're going to get younger and you're going to get less expensive as you go through this cap situation. So can you hire someone with great culture that's willing to go through that? Maybe Darren Rizzi is that guy. My choice still today is to go get a guy like Ben Johnson if you can. But if the top guys like that aren't available, maybe a guy like Darren Rizzi becomes more attractive. The big thing that gives me pause. While clearly the players love him and culture matters so much, the big thing that makes me wonder is continuing to latch on to the Peyton, Breeze, Dennis Allen era. You just continue to perpetuate this era that is over. And for me, I have this strong feeling that I would rather see them just uproot everything from this era and start over. And that's unfair to Darren Rizzi. Certainly it's unfair to Darren Rizzi because he can be his own man, his own coach, run his own organization. But he is also part of this. Maybe over the next 2 months, he can wash the stains of that era off of him and maybe make a very compelling case to be the full-time head coach. We'll continue to follow it. Let me know your thoughts if you got them. You can email us, tweet us, text us, 225-396-4400, 396-4400. I'm late. We'll get to Bill Bender next, AFR.
After further review.
I had a great lunch meeting today with my friends over at Action Industries, proud partner of LSU Athletics. Got to sit down with Chuck and Chad and Jordan and Erica, their marketing director, and we talked about the Advanced Turnaround Group. So you've heard me talk about Action Industries for a year now. And one of the things that I want to make sure that I've spent a lot of time hammering is the Advanced Turnaround Group, which is a part of Action Industries. They've assembled a core group that have built their careers on turnaround execution. They're not just taking any worker in their business and throwing them in the turnaround world. These are people part of the Action Industries Advanced Turnaround Group that is what they do. It's turnarounds. So you need people to get in, get your turnaround work done, of course, with the highest safety standards and great quality. You want Action Industries and their Advanced Turnaround Group. Check them out. It's Action Industries.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
It's no secret, the best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
She thinks my tractor's sexy.
2 more weeks of college football's regular season. They'll get to championship weekend as well. Then we'll know who will be in the inaugural, 12-team college football playoff. Bill Bender, good enough to join us for a couple of minutes here to chat about all of it. He's on Twitter at BillBender92. Y'all give him a follow. Hey, Bill, we appreciate the time as always, man. How are you?
Hey, good afternoon. Thanks for having me on.
No, it's our pleasure. Is there anything through, 12 weeks of the regular season now, going into week 13, that has maybe overtly surprised you from what you thought back in August when we were sitting there at week 0?
Oh, it's more of a mess than I thought it would be.
Okay.
I thought, well, there's not an untouchable team. Put it that way. I'm so used over the last 10 years, and as you know, I live in Big Ten country, that you would say, okay, Ohio State's untouchable, or Georgia or Alabama is untouchable. Last year it was Michigan. I feel like any one of these, there's 8 or 9 teams to me that could win the national championship, and I've been doing this for a while. It's been a while since the list is that high.
Do you think, do you attribute that to the portal NIL culture? Or do you think this is just a weird one-off?
I think it's a weird year in some ways because Alabama's obviously got a new coach. Georgia lost a lot of guys. Michigan has a new coach. Ohio State's probably the closest thing. I know they lost on the road at Oregon by 1 point, but with the additions they've made, an elite defense, playing in 3 top 5 showdowns, they feel like that. And I've had moments where I've felt that way individually about Georgia or Alabama or Texas, and then I have to change my mind 15 minutes later because that SEC is just so darn competitive.
How do you make sense out of the SEC where you have just this big log jam where it's a bunch of 2-loss teams that have all just sort of cannibalized each other?
Well, it's fun. That's what the NFL does. You substitute the AFC for the NFC, AFC, NFC, SEC. I'll get it right eventually. Yeah. And it's the same concept. I love watching Green Bay every Sunday. And the acceptance of, hey, if that Bears field goal goes in, the sun comes up the next day and they're fine.
Yeah.
They're still in the playoff hunt. And I think you're figuring that out in the SEC. I did take to heart what Kirby said, though. Environments in the SEC are hard to win at, maybe harder than anywhere else in the country, especially when you have to do it week in and week out.
So what about in the Big Ten, where you are? The giant game of the weekend is undefeated Indiana going to 9-1 Ohio State, and this will, I think we've all talked about it a bunch, Bill, this will be the first ranked team Indiana will have faced. So first of all, the game itself, how much of a shot do you give the Hoosiers as a 2-touchdown underdog going into the shoe?
And I live in the Ohio bubble, and so it's hard for me to separate from that. When I just typed this in for my reaction tonight, that last time Indiana beat Ohio State, Don't Worry But Be Happy was the top song in the country.
What year was it? Bobby McFerrin. What year was that?
1988.
Okay.
So it's been a minute.
Yeah.
So there's that establishment feeling here that it's like, okay, I'll believe it when you beat Ohio State, or you compete with Ohio State for 4 quarters. They beat Michigan. I get that, but I would make the argument that if Michigan had a quarterback, they'd probably win that game, especially the way they played in the second half. But so it comes down to this. I think what's going to happen at the end of the rainbow is we're going to have a 1-loss Indiana team arguing with either a 2-loss Tennessee or 2-loss Ole Miss team for that final spot, or even possibly the SEC championship game loser. Although I feel, and I'm thinking you do too, if you go to the SEC championship game, I don't think you should be penalized for that 3rd loss.
Bill, I agree with you, but I saw undefeated Georgia last year lose the SEC championship game and get knocked out of a 14 playoff when they were the back-to-back defending national champions and were wire-to-wire number 1 last year. I think the committee is going to do whatever is the path of least resistance. So I've given up trying to make sense of what they might do. Let me ask you your opinion, Not necessarily what you think the committee would do. What would you do if Indiana loses to Ohio State and they finish 11-1 without a marquee win? Would you still put them in?
I would if they keep it competitive Saturday. If they get beat 42-7, I would probably. I just had this conversation in one of our meetings at Sporting News, and I was shunned a little bit. I said I would put if the final argument was 2-loss Tennessee and 1-loss Indiana, and Indiana gets beat 42-7 on Saturday, and it's not competitive at all. If it looks like Ohio State Northwestern, I would probably put Tennessee in. If Indiana competes, I get that they don't have a marquee victory. You can only play your schedule. Most of us, I don't think there's anybody in SEC country that thinks Ole Miss, Tennessee, Alabama, Georgia, or even Texas A&M would lose to Indiana.
Yeah, I would agree with that. But that's also why it's fun to play the games and you see how they all play out. But so then the same question though, Bill, is extended to Texas because they're 9-1, but they don't have a marquee win either. They will have the opportunity against Texas A&M, but what do you do with Texas?
Oh, I watched them go up to Michigan and dominate them, so I don't think it's a head-to-head with Indiana. I mean, I watched Texas beat Michigan pretty good. I get your point, though. If they lose that A&M game, it's kind of like, okay, so who did you beat? And, again, we're at the mercy of a schedule that a couple things need reevaluated here. It's like, should we go back to divisions? Should we go back to, like, a pod system? You know, if I was the SEC, I wouldn't be opposed to 4 14 divisions. That way you guarantee, because they could split it up. I think you and I could figure that out and split it up so you have at least 2 marquee opponents each year. So you don't fall into what happened with Texas. I mean, it's not their fault that some of these teams that they play are bad, but at the same time, you got to look at the schedule the way you play it. Then there wouldn't be that imbalance that we have between a Texas schedule and a Florida schedule.
Hey, Bill, it's so funny. We were there in Dallas at SEC Football Media Days, and that was one of the giant narratives of the entire week was Texas is probably going to be in the SEC championship game because who do they play? It's almost as if the SEC schedule makers went to them with a blank sheet of paper and said, here, who do you want to play this year?
Fill that out.
I mean,
fill that out. You have Oklahoma. Fill the rest out on your own and just make sure Georgia or Alabama's on there. That's what they felt like they did.
That's kind of what it feels like. Bill Bender, Sporting News. Bill, it makes sense of the Big 12 for me.
I can't. I can kind of. I think Colorado is going to win it. I think they're the best team in the Big 12 right now. They've won their last 4 games by 18 points per game. They have the 2 best players on the field in the Big 12 when they step on the field in every game. I think they're going to take care of business against Kansas. The BYU loss, I stay up and watch these BYU games. They're fun. They're fun to watch, though. I know they're not dominant. I understand that, but there's something about a team pulling out a bunch of close wins, and obviously the ball bounced the other way against Kansas. So I think it will be the winner of the BYU-Arizona State game. Arizona State, another team playing really good football in that conference. But I just feel, and I know you guys have the high school ball down there, and it's not meant to be a slight, but it's going to sound like one anyway. I just feel like when you watch the SEC and the Big Ten, you're watching the biggest division of high school football, and then the ACC and the Big 12 is that second division.
Yeah, I mean I think conference realignment has made it that way. I mean, both of these leagues have taken the best teams from other leagues and weakened them, and then propped up their leagues. I think that's undeniable. A couple more minutes here with Bill Bender. Okay, so what do you do with Notre Dame, assuming they beat Army and Southern Cal, go 11-1, but the one is a hideous one? What do you do?
It's a bad one, but I think they will make it in. They've played pretty well the last month, and granted, they're doing it beating on ACC teams, which, they don't have a signature victory. Again, but it's not their fault. They didn't anticipate that Florida State would be that bad or that USC would be 4-5. In any given year, you'd look at that schedule and say, wow, and that's tough. Or that they're not playing the other Big Ten powers. But I think they're in at 11-1. I actually like their defense a lot, and I'm interested to see how that Notre Dame defense, which has been, even in the Northern Illinois game, played very well, play against some of these SEC schools. One of the things we're going to find out in the playoff if you look at the top 10 scoring defenses in the country, 8 of them are projected to play. So we're going to have some lower. It's just my way of saying I think we're going to have some lower scoring games in the playoffs than we're used to seeing.
Huh. In an era of offense, apparently maybe it still is the old adage about defense winning championships. Okay, Bill, before you go, I'd love a thought. We're here, obviously, in Baton Rouge and all over Louisiana. I'd love a thought on LSU, and in particular, when Brian Kelly came here, I knew Brian Kelly from afar because he was the coach at Notre Dame, but didn't know anything about him. You being there in the Midwest, no doubt, covering the sport nationally, knowing Brian Kelly during his time at Notre Dame. I'm curious what you make of what's happened to LSU from a team that 3 weeks ago was in the top 10 and poised to make a playoff run. The collapse at A&M happens and the wheels have come off. Here's your thoughts of what's going on here in Baton Rouge.
Now, they've changed since halftime of that A&M game.
It's crazy.
At halftime of A&M, I had something very different written about Nussmeier and how this team was a threat to win the SEC. I think the penalties have caught up. You hear about discipline and those kind of things. And you know this as well as I do, fit matters in college football with a coach, with a quarterback, with any of that. I mean, you guys won your last national championship with a guy from my neck of the woods up here in Ohio named Burrow. That wasn't too bad, but it's because he fit into the system they were doing. And, for Brian Kelly, he's going to have to find that fit. I don't think you fire him. I know he can win football games, but the balance of what we see on social media that goes viral with him very quickly versus the results on the field, there's no way LSU should have 4 losses, in my opinion.
It's going to be. By the way, Bill, there's no way they fire him. His buyout. He's owed 90% of the balance of his contract. It would be almost $70 million, and LSU's just not paying that. So the way I've said it since they hired him, for better or worse, you are financially bound to Brian Kelly and he to you for a decade. So you better make it work. Man, it was looking good until about 3 weeks ago. Bill Bender, Sporting News, at Bill Bender 92. Y'all give him a follow. We appreciate it, Bill. Thanks for the time as always, man.
Anytime. You guys enjoy. I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, man. Be well. It is After Further Review, brought to you by Optimize, GeneratorPeople.com, GeneratorPeople.com. Hey, if you're thinking about a Generac automatic home standby generator, what an awesome time to do it now before the new year. Call Optimize or go to GeneratorPeople.com. Listen, I say it all the time. It's not if, but when. It's not if the power goes out, it's when. Well, when the inevitable happens and the power goes out, are you prepared? Well, if you call Optimize and have a Generac automatic home standby generator installed, you will be. Power goes out, boom. Your entire home powers back on as soon as your Generac automatic home standby generator kicks in. It takes about 15 to 30 seconds, and then everything is on. Your HVAC unit, even your pool, everything. It's like nothing ever even happened. Remember, a generator is a commodity. A lot of people, a lot of businesses sell the same product. So why is Optimize Louisiana's #1 Generac dealer? It's easy. It's the only thing they do. They sell, service, and install Generac automatic home standby generators. So they have it perfected. All their technicians, that's all they do all day is work on these generators. Not an HVAC company that also does generators. They're not an electrical company that also does generators. They're generator people. So go to GeneratorPeople.com, GeneratorPeople.com. All right, it's After Further Review. Tuesday show is powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. Thanks to Bill Bender. Shea Dixon was here last hour. If you missed our conversation with Shea, the early signing period is 2 weeks from tomorrow. We went deep dive into LSU's recruiting class. You can catch that on demand if you missed it. Sean Salisbury in 30 minutes from right now. When we come back, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, been a very pleasant surprise for the New Orleans Saints. So what do they do with him long term? We'll talk about it next. AFR.
After Further Review.
Get Gordon and get it done. Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. Go to getgordon.com, getgordon.com. Actually, go to gordongives.com. Been telling you about it. And right now, the registration is open for the Gordon Gives bike giveaway. Every year around Christmas here in the holiday time, Gordon shares this story. One of his favorite, it's actually there on the website at gordongives.com. You can read it. One of his favorite memories, he always tells the story, Christmas morning was waking up and having a red Schwinn bicycle. So he wants to extend that joy to less fortunate kiddos in our state. So children all across Louisiana are encouraged to enter. You can see the giveaway dates, times, all that stuff right there on the website. Go to gordongives.com, gordongives.com. Just fill out that form right there. Remember, 488 bicycles. Gordon's giving away 488 bicycles to children in communities all across Louisiana. What an awesome thing to do. You know what to do. Get Gordon and get it done.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
All right, Sean Salisbury coming up about 25 minutes from right now. Saints head into their bye. When they come back, look forward to seeing Marquez Valdez-Scantling back on the field. What an impact he's made. 6 catches, 3 of them deep touchdowns. Been pretty awesome to see. Muse, you ran this by me today and said, what do they do with Valdez-Scantling? What prompted that made you want to think about that?
Well, just mainly because, it's wild the success he's had immediately with Derek Carr on the field. You're pretty much tied to Carr for at least one more year. He's a free agent. He is 30 years old, but he's a culture fit in the locker room, guy who's been on Super Bowl teams, and a veteran presence who immediately is just coming and fit so well.
But there was nothing that prompted this, nothing happened that made you think, what do they do with Marquez Valdez-Scantling? You didn't see a news story or anything.
No.
Just about what they did. So here's the interesting thing. I think you were asking it do they sign him to a long-term deal? What would you define as a long-term deal?
3 years.
See, I think there's zero shot he gets a 3-year contract. A couple reasons. First of all, that you mentioned, he's 30.
Yeah.
You're not going to give a 3-year deal to someone who is on a kind of a plug-and-play deal right now, who is on the street. If you're going to offer someone a 3-year contract, there's going to be competition. Is there any competition for Marquez Valdez-Scantling?
Well, that's what I think is going to be really interesting to see because, like you said, he's on the street. People didn't think he could play. Now they see him playing as well as he is, even at 30. I think he could get some competition, but I don't know how heavy that competition is, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I don't think there's anybody willing to offer him that type of deal, is the point. So I went and looked up his deals. So he had a rookie deal in Green Bay, then he signed a 3-year, $30 million contract in Kansas City. That contract was supposed to run him through 2024, but they cut him. So they cut him entering the final year of that contract. And that's a guy who'd been on 2 Super Bowl teams with them now. So they cut him entering this year. He goes to Buffalo. He had signed the deal that he had signed with Buffalo was a 1-year deal worth $2.25. So I would argue before this season, he had great value, right? He's on the team with Mahomes. They win back-to-back Super Bowls. But Kansas City didn't re-sign him. And he only had a 1-year deal. Basically think of it in the same terms as like Willie Gay, right?
Yeah.
The Saints were able to sign him to a 1-year prove-it deal. Or Chase Young. Different because he had battled injuries, but a 1-year prove-it deal. So if that's all he got, and then not even halfway through the season, Buffalo cans him, and he's sitting on the street, the Saints have the injury to Shaheed, they sign him. There's a big difference whenever there's a market for a player and then teams clamor for him. If there was a market for him, Buffalo would have cut him. They would have traded him. So I don't think there's really a market for Marquez Valdes-Scantling beyond what he is. The real question, I think, is this. He and Rashid Shaheed are essentially the same player, right?
Essentially, yes.
They're both your stretch-the-field deep threat. So the Saints signed Shaheed to a 2-year deal, but the second year is voided. Basically, they did that just to spread cap money because, of course, they did.
Right, yeah. Checks out.
So it was like a 1-year. I had it here. It's a 1-year, did I do this right? 1-year, $5.2 million deal where they could spread the cap hit. So like 4.25 or 4.45 go into next year because of whatever. So the point is, Shaheed's going to be on the team next year. I'm pretty confident of that because of the contract. So do you have room for Shaheed and for Marquez Valdes-Scantling? And if you do, what does that deal look like for Scantling? So the deal Buffalo did for him was 1 year, $2.25 million. Now MVS is with the Saints at 1 year. It's like 1.25.
That's what it is, 1.25.
1.125.
Oh, 1.1.
Okay, so 1.125. So if I could sign Marquez Valdes-Scantling for 2025 on that deal, 1 year, let's call it 1.25. Let's give him the extra $10K. Well, I guess $80K. Give him another $100,000, whatever. Yeah, I would do that. Clearly, he's proven worth there. But what I don't want to do at all, and this isn't just with Marquez Valdes-Scantling, this is with every deal the Saints do. I do not want to sign old players, expensive players to long-term deals. Like, you just can't do that anymore. You've completely screwed your salary cap situation by doing things like this. So I'm thrilled with him through 2 games. Been awesome, man. Clearly still has wheels, can stretch the field, but so can Shaheed. And when Shaheed was healthy and Carr were healthy, like that was the combination early in the season. So you've got Shaheed under contract. He's younger. He'll be here next year. I mean, I think if Marquez Valdes-Scantling plays his way into the market and there is competition for him, he can get a better deal somewhere else, good for him. I just don't know that market's going to be there for 30. You said he'll be 31 when?
I mean, he'll be 31 to the start of next year.
October,
next season, excuse me.
So October, he turned 30 on October the 10th. So he'll turn 31 in October.
Like week 5.
Yeah. So I don't know, man. Like I look at him. I'm thrilled with the production you've gotten. I think it's a very pleasant surprise. I don't think any of us thought it would be this, where he has been such an incredible deep threat. But I also look and I go, what I want the New Orleans Saints to do is go find me another Rashid Shaheed. Go find me another undrafted rookie free agent that's going to be dirt cheap that you can get reps out of. And you know what? They're not going to win big with a guy like that because you're not going to win big. You just have to accept the fact that this is what you are right now until you can fix your cap situation to where you can be competitive in free agency. But most importantly, man, you got to hit in the draft. You traded Lattimore, you got more draft capital. I'm assuming you're going to get more draft capital as well, as we see with the compensatory picks come along and how that happens. But you've got to make the most out of your draft capital and hit in this draft so you can get younger and more affordable as opposed to getting older and more expensive. It was why I didn't like the Kamara deal. It's not that I don't love Alvin Kamara. I love Alvin Kamara. He's amazing. He shows you he's still got something left in the tank. But you extended a 30-year-old running back for 3 years or 2 years. Like, that's the problem I have. Like, you got older and more expensive when inherently you need to get younger and more affordable. So you want to bring Marcos Valdez-Scantling on a 1-year deal at 1.25? Come on. I'm all for it. Anything beyond that, I don't know. Do you disagree? You give him a longer-term deal?
No. That's the thing. I actually don't. I don't disagree with you at all. They need to get younger. They've started to already try to get younger. The thing was that I found so interesting was just the scenario around him. Because I think if he continues on this trajectory he's on, that there will be at least some type of market for him. Maybe not 3 years. You just asked me what I would consider long-term, so I gave you 3 years. But because you've been looking so hard for a number 3 option, the scenario around him is interesting. Did you stumble into one? Is kind of what prompted it, to go back to your original question.
Maybe the bigger question is what happens with Chris Olave.
Yeah.
Is his career over? And I don't want to be presumptive. I'm not saying it is. But there's at least a conversation around a guy that has this concussion history who's now, it sounds like, going to be shut down for the rest of the year. What is his future? And that may be a bigger question that you address in the draft and with other assets as you move into 2025. All right, it's After Further Review brought to you by Parish Construction and Roofing, also Parish Restoration. Tell you every day, do business with someone you know. That's me, that's Terrio, that's Richard Tilley, that's Joe Morales, it's Trent Davis, the 5 of us partners in Parish Construction and Roofing, but also our guy Jim Woodworth, who we partnered with over at Parish Restoration. Told you forever about Mold Zero. Well, Parish Restoration, same thing. We're just all under the Parish umbrella now. So go to parishbuilt.com. The best thing I can tell you about working with Parish, aside from doing business with someone you know, that we're local and we're people here and you can reach us and we're accountable. We're not an out-of-state company. We're very public with who the owners and managers are in this company. You know where to reach me. But you can deal with one contractor. So if you have an issue with your roof, and let's say there's water intrusion, and so now you need help with decking, or you have an electrical issue, or you have mold and you need remediation, you could do it all with one contractor, us, Parish Construction and Roofing. Instead of calling 5 different contractors and then trying to coordinate schedules, you can deal with one contractor, and it's all in-house. We're not subbing out work. It's all in-house at Parish Construction and Roofing. So go to parishbuilt.com. We'd love to give you the free, no-obligation roofing inspection, commercial or residential. We have our maintenance program as well that can help extend the life of your commercial roof instead of the very costly full roof replacement. We got a solution for basically anything you've got going on under that roof. Parish Construction and Roofing, parishbuilt.com, parishbuilt.com. Okay, let me knock out our final break here of hour number 2. Sean Salisbury in about 15 minutes from right now. We'll come back. Muse will have Tigers in the pros. LSU basketball back on the hardwood tonight. A Matt McMahon squad taking on Charleston Southern. We'll get you a thumbnail preview of that next hour as well. Otter Lock's already live over at LouisianaSports.net. If you want to get Otter's picks, if you don't want to wait an hour for them, you get them right now at LouisianaSports.net. All right, wrap up hour number 2 next on AFR.
AFR.
Y'all, if you are thinking about slapping that for sale by owner sign in your front yard, stop. I want to remind you, 73% of people that list their home for sale by owner end up hiring a realtor. Could be for a variety of reasons. Maybe you're not sure how to price your home. Maybe you're unfamiliar with the paperwork. Maybe you can't be home for showings all the time. Whatever it may be, save yourself the time and the money. You want an enjoyable home buying or home selling experience? You need Darren James. You want an experience that's going to get the best results fast? You want Darren James. Agent225.com, agent225.com. Buying or selling, you need Darren James. Wall Street Journal's Real Trends list of the top 1% of realtors in America, number 1 in Louisiana.
Think real estate, think Darren James.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram can get you in a new 2025 Ram 1500 truck with $15,000 off MSRP. $15,000 off the newly designed Ram 1500 truck. All new Bayou Automotive vehicles come with a complimentary 7-year powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
All right, wrapping up hour number 2, Muso. Tigers in the pros.
Tigers in the pros. They still bleed purple and gold. They're just really rich now.
All right, so yesterday, as we were on air, really to start the 5 o'clock hour, told you Paul Skeens was named the 2024 National League Rookie of the Year. Some context behind that. Skeens is the 2nd Rookie of the Year in LSU baseball history, joins Alvin Dark, who won the award back in 1948. Since the live ball era, so 1920, no rookie pitcher, I should say, has made as many starts as Skeens with 23 and had a lower ERA of 1.96. He rewrote the record books, led the National League amongst pitchers with at least 130 innings in ERA, strikeouts per 9, walks, and hits per 9 innings as well. Just the latest chapter in a fantastic year or so that Paul Skeens has authored for himself. NFL football last night. If you watched Monday Night Football, boy, you couldn't help but notice Derek Stingley Jr. He was all over the place for the Houston Texans. 2 stops, an interception.
He good.
He could have had about 2 or 3 more interceptions in the game, quite honestly. How about this for Stingley, courtesy of Next Gen Stats? While guarding Devontae Adams, Garrett Wilson, CeeDee Lamb, Mike Williams, and DJ Moore this year, 17 targets, 95 yards, the 2 picks, and just 5 pass breakups as
There
well.
was an OPI on CeeDee Lamb in the end zone, or Stingley would have had another pick.
Yeah, and he could have had another one off of that while also guarding. He could have had at least 3 interceptions last night. He was awesome. Daniil Hunter racked up 2 sacks and 3 tackles for a loss in that one as well. Tari Eason just missing a double-double last night. 9 points. 14 rebounds. That's Tigers in the Pros.
Presented by Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, lmfj.com, lmfj.com for Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Gents, if you're thinking of popping the question, you know where to go. Where all of Louisiana has gone for 40 years to get engaged. Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. With 9 locations, there's a location near you. And, of course, when you're buying for 9 locations, you'll have a great selection and you can offer great prices to your customers. Pass on the cookie-cutter big box store. Of course, the boutique jewelers, you're just not going to get the selection and you're going to overpay. Lee Michaels is the perfect, just right fit. Selection and great price, and always the Lee Michaels experience. lmfj.com. Thrill her with a gift in the red box from Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Pelicans are on the floor tonight against Dallas. Do we reinstate the Christmas music thing with the Pelicans? We might have to do that. I mean,
not until they win games.
Or do we just not talk about them at all?
I mean, that's the thing.
Sad. Get healthy. Maybe we'll talk about you. Maybe. Maybe not. Maybe.
AFR.
All right, Sean Salisbury is coming up right after Sports Center. We are brought to you by the Williamson Eye Center. Popped over to Williamson last week, sat down with Amber, the marketing director, Kyle, who's when I tell you all the time, to go for that free, that no obligation consultation, you'll meet with Kyle. And Kyle will ask you questions. Very easy. I mean, this is a maximum, max 30-minute conversation, and you don't even have to go in. You can do the consultation virtually, and she'll let you know what, based on your history, you might be a candidate for. And then you decide if you want to proceed. Then you can go meet Dr. Blake, and then you can make your decision if you want to proceed with a refractive procedure. But the thing that I got to tell you, I mean, for most people, you'd love to be able to have a refractive procedure and ditch the contacts and glasses forever. They have financing options, 24 months, 0% deferred interest. Never let that be an impediment. The Williamson Eye Center.
Let's talk turkey. Bayou Ford can get you in a new 2024 Ford F-150 with $15,000 off MSRP. $15,000 off America's favorite F-150 truck. All new Bayou automotive vehicles come with a complimentary 7-year powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs, even in the case of an after-hours emergency. The light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at reliefwindows.com. Oh, by the way, we do shutters too.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. A shakeup by the Bruins after a rough start to the NHL season. They fired coach Jim Montgomery, associate coach Joe Sacco's interim coach. NFL, like former coach Robert Saleh, the Jets have shown GM Joe Douglas the door. The team fired Douglas 7 weeks after dismissing Saleh. In his 5+ seasons, New York 30-64, 0 winning seasons, 0 playoff appearances. How might Douglas's firing impact quarterback Aaron Rodgers? ESPN NFL reporter Dan Graziano.
Obviously, this is yet another sign that this hasn't worked and he's not likely to be back next year. He has a contract for next year, but the money in it is not guaranteed. And obviously, with a new head coach and now a new general manager coming in, you would think it's a total reset and the Jets start thinking about the future at the position.
NBA. Tyrese Maxey called out 76ers teammate and close friend Joel Embiid during last night's team meeting for being late to everything and how that impacts the locker room, reports ESPN's Shams Charania. Oregon has secured a spot in next month's Big Ten championship game, their opponent to be determined.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Make sure your family is well taken care of with life insurance. Protect your phones, laptops, and more with electronic device insurance. And cover your furry friends with pet health insurance.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio.
Let's ride!
Hour 3, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us, AFR. Powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. I'm Matt.
This is Shaq O'Neal, and I hate Matt.
Paul O'Neal.
They're chanting Paul O'Neal's name.
You so. And Mr. Toby Tom Blake. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. 5 o'clock quitting time. Glad you are driving home with us. Talk some LSU hoops. Bottom of this hour. Tigers at home against Charleston Southern. Tip-off at 7 o'clock. You can hear that on our sister station, Eagle 98.1. Every Tuesday, we visit with Sean Salisbury. Got 30 minutes here to dig in to a lot of good football talk. We're glad to have Sean with us as always. How are you, man?
I'm doing good, bud. How are you?
Doing great. Wish the Tigers could find a dub somewhere out there, man, but it's been a little bit of a struggle here the last month.
My Trojans finally found one, but that really doesn't matter. We found a quarterback, I think, but we still don't defend very well. But I get it, brother. The struggle is real. Trust me.
Would you have thought when these two teams were playing out in Vegas that both would be sitting here with a couple weeks left in November, this is what we'd be talking about?
No, Matt, I thought we'd actually, honestly, after that, knowing that LSU would turn it around after SC controlled that line of scrimmage because LSU plays in a far more physical conference, at least from the Pac-12, and now they're in the Big Ten, meaning Southern Cal. But I would have said when all is said and done, we will have this conversation now close to Thanksgiving that both teams will be in playoff contention in striking distance, and neither one are going to make it. So it's been a rough go, bud.
Both teams have had a lot of close calls, but you are what your record says you are. Hey, I wanted to get your take on something, Sean, that's kind of been a talking point here, which is after the game against Florida on Saturday, Brian Kelly, so he was seen on the sideline with a play sheet in his hand. First time we've seen that. And he was asked after the game about it, and he acknowledged he is getting involved in the process and said effectively, when things aren't going well, the head coach has to get himself involved. On Monday at his press conference, I asked him to elaborate about that. He did say that, the process is Joe Sloan calls the play, and Brian Kelly, can override it. Kelly and Sloan both can be on the headset in the helmet comm with Garrett Nussmeier. And Sean, my take on that is, man, for a quarterback that's fighting it a little bit, that sure feels like a pretty cumbersome process. When you hear all of this going on and you see the result on the field, what's your thought when you hear all that?
Too many chefs, my man, in the kitchen. Even though we know the head chef is Brian Kelly. But let me just give you an example of the difference. And, Brian knows offense, I get it. But when you hire somebody, you have to empower them. And, yes, you have say over when to use a timeout. A lot of times the head coach who's not, doesn't carry the play sheet, he's given full go to the offensive and defensive coordinator. What happens is that when it comes to, okay, are we going for it on fourth down? When we cross midfield, is this 4-down territory? All those things you've gone on through the week. And in your pregame stuff, you say, okay, coach, and he turns you loose, said, here's the situations. And then you look to him, okay, timeout, boom, he tells that guy, and boom, the quarterback. So those things. But when you hire the guys and you give them full go, it's hard to take that away. When you take it away, there's a lot of things that get lost. And let me give you an example. When I was in Minnesota playing with the Vikings, Denny Green was the head coach, and Brian Billick, who obviously a brilliant mind and went on to win a Super Bowl as the head coach in Baltimore, he would tell him up and down the sidelines, and it happened, when Denny wanted it, like Robert Smith was a running back. If we were then, he'd tell Brian, who's on the sidelines, Brian didn't go up the booth, he wanted to be on the sidelines with the players and getting a feel for the emotion of the game. And Denny would tell him, let's say 3rd and 4, give me your best run, not post, pre. It would all of a sudden, boom, get a completion, 6 yards. It's 3rd and 4 at the 42. Once in a while, Denny Green, who didn't carry a play sheet, was on a headset, but wasn't chiming in much, and a lot of times he'd take it off. He'd say, give me your best run, which was a mandate saying, if you throw the football, we're going to have a problem. Whatever your best run is, give me that. It didn't happen often because, to me, it gets to a point. And, yes, Brian Kelly's built his whole reputation on offense and then became a head coach and has had some tremendous success doing it. But to me, when you decide, and now you're starting to carry it around, if you're the play caller, whether he's Coach Sloan's in over his head or not, when you're the play caller, what are you thinking, Matty, when it gets to a certain situation? Are you as aggressive as you would be if you were full autonomy to do what you want? Of course not.
Right.
Which also filters down to the quarterback, and to the offense. Who's making the decision here? Who do I come to on the sideline? When I came to the sideline, I went to Brian. Or when Warren Moon came to the sideline, he'd come to, Warren liked to talk to the player, McMahon, which was me, and the Brian, we'd all be together. Denny would come over and listen, and then if it was 3rd and 2 or if the situation called for it, he'd say, yeah, let's get our best run here. And that was it. Didn't call the play, gave the best. He didn't tell which play, said give us our best pass, best run. So to me, when you're struggling, that's the time you probably – the evaluation, let it happen after the season. If you're going to take it over during the season, or if you're going to be a little more heavily involved, which I understand, then take it over.
Yes.
I'd take it over. Be the guy. Don't let him sit in purgatory where it's like – because in truth, he's scrambling around right now, Coach Sloan, and getting this thing going. And when you're looking over your shoulder, I don't know a player, a quarterback, an offensive tackle, a running back that can stare over there wondering, well, who's calling this and who am I supposed to go to? Too much indecision. And this game moves fast, man. And so as much as I like Coach Kelly and he's the boss, but if you're going to do it and hover and helicopter it, take it over.
Yeah.
That's how you cut that's where you did in the first place. That's how you became Brian Kelly, the playmaker who attacked and went after it. You hired Coach Sloan to do his thing. And if he doesn't do his thing, you evaluate him like a player. You either bench him or you hire somebody else. Same on defense. So I don't like it. I don't like it. I want that decision made early in the week. And if Brian doesn't trust, which he doesn't, obviously, or he wouldn't do this. Yeah. If he didn't trust that things were going the way he wanted, then you take it over, you put that play sheet in your hand, and you call it. And Joe's he's the guy feeding you. He's looking and seeing the coverage coach. It's been cover 2 on 3rd and 5 plus the last 4 times we've been in this situation. We cross midfield, whatever it is. I don't like it. It's too indecisive. You ask your players, be decisive, let it rip, and we'll evaluate on Sunday in college and on Monday in the NFL. So that part I don't like. And I think it shows on the football team too. I'm not sure. It feels like a Where's Waldo? What am I doing? And Nussmeier's game has 6 weeks ago, if you'd have been telling me this was going to happen, I'd have laughed in your face. Yeah. I said, come on now. He's regressed. The play calling's regressed. The team's ability to get things done, under pressure has regressed. They're losing to teams they should not lose to. It's not like Florida dominated numbers-wise. Florida made a few plays. They had a lot of chunk plays, and Lagway made some really good plays. He's a hell of a player. So I do not like when there's indecision going into a game. Let me get the indecision out of the way early in the week and let my players know we got this under control. I'm going to take it over this week. And you know as well as I do, Maddie, when you do take it over as a head coach, when you've empowered a guy to do it, how can he not feel demoted?
Yeah.
Of course it's a demotion. So to me, that's not the only reason they're struggling. Don't misunderstand me. But I think that the greatest teams define roles and they stick with them. And if that doesn't work, you get rid of them. Or you make sure early in the week people know what the pecking order is. And I don't like, well, let's see this. I have the power to override. No, I'm going to throw this play. No. Run this play. No. How about you just tell them, give me your best pass, your 3rd and 6 pass. All right, then we'll go do it. But when you see something, it's like a quarterback. If you see the backup warming up on the sideline, well, what's your first thought?
Yeah, I'm coming
they
out the game.
told him to warm up.
Yeah.
It's a bad look. And I know, well, you got to be tougher mentally to handle it. Well, fine and dandy, but you're still looking over there. So you're thinking, did they lose trust in me as well? Or are we ready to go to a freshman quarterback? Or are we ready to go to a rookie quarterback if you're in the NFL? I don't like it. I like roles defined. And you're the guy who hired them, so you live with it. And if you don't want to live with it, you call the plays. And when the season's over, you evaluate. Or during the season, you get rid of them. That's just the way that it's a rough sport and it's brutal. Pro sports is. I don't like the indecision because it looks like a team that's indecisive right now.
You know, I'm so glad. It's almost the exact answer that I gave. It's like, make it like you want to fire him. You want to call plays? Great, call plays, but don't do it in the middle of a game. The interesting thing about Nussmeier, too, is so Brian Kelly even acknowledged Nuss was coming to the sideline saying, man, I saw this, thought about doing this, but I was trying to protect the football. And to me, that said, now you've taken one of Garrett Nussmeier's greatest strengths, which is his instinct, and you've sort of neutered that a little bit. In the instances of not turning the football over, you've made him stop and slow and think. So how do you balance that? Wanting him to be instinctive, but also wanting to not be careless.
And what do we all tell? What do we, as a coach or anybody we coach, let it rip, man. Make smart decisions. But when you see it, if you like something, let it rip. You're far more eloquent than I am. You mean you say take it away? Yeah, it's taking his guts and balls away that Nussmeier's had, which made him win games against teams,
right?
Where he's throwing the bender. Yes,
yeah.
And I know this in my career and in anybody I've been around. The second and at that position, indecisiveness, you start handing out Gatorade on the sideline. You cannot pull when you're indecisive and a split second late on indecisive. And when you're walking over to the sideline saying, well, I was trying to protect the ball. No. Part of your game is having guts, but in the process, protecting it. I never have a problem as a coach, and whether it's a coordinator in a U.S. Army All-American game or whether it's coaching my guys, I always tell them, if you can come to me or go to your high school or college or NFL coach and say, when he asks you, why'd you do that? And you give me a definitive answer, I got no issue with it. Yeah. We'll evaluate that on Monday. We'll look at the tape if you're an NFL guy. We'll look at the tape on Sunday if you're a college guy. But if you come over to me with that Brook Trout look, anybody that's fished for trout knows what I'm that Brook Trout. Chuck Knox great when he goes, hey, don't come over to the sideline. Give me that Brook Trout look. He wanted you to be decisive. Come over and say, I saw this, so I did this. Okay, you got the ball in your damn hand. Let's go. And aggressive but smart quarterbacks win games. Aggressive quarterbacks that you take that from them and, like you said, neuter them or take those stones away. Now that extra split second, do I pull the trigger? Now you're late. Now, if you're late to the first window, guess what you're late to? Window number 2 and window number 3. And then you play scared not to make a mistake. So instead of playing aggressive but smart, you play kind of aggressive, but you're hesitant, and then nothing gets done. You'll make a throw once in a while, but that's not who you are. And it's taking a chef and cooking stuff in the microwave. That's not the way they do it. And it's the same thing here. So while Nuss has to take a sacks and holding the ball and indecisive and turning the ball over too much, accountability because the ball's in his hand. The other thing is, if you're playing not to lose, and I don't want to say scared because it sounds like, well, he doesn't have guts, playing hesitant, you got no shot. And when the quarterback's coming over to the sideline, it's like, well, is it this guy or what are we doing here? And right when you said it, well, I'm trying to protect the ball. That's rule number one anyway going in, right?
Yeah.
But if you're trying to protect it and your mental process is, what if I don't protect it? The what if has got to be, what if I make this throw and we score a touchdown? That's the what if on the positive side, not on the what if negative happens. And what ends up happening, you borrow trouble, you start chasing ghosts, and inevitably your game starts to go to hell in the handbasket. Define the roles and let it rip, and then evaluate later. I don't like in-game stuff like that. Go play like you're in the schoolyard. If it's at worst, go play like you would if you're. Matter of fact, I would actually say, you know what, Nuss, you know the game plan enough. Here, we'll give you check with me. You go call it, and let's see if that works. Let's play faster. Let's play like a 2-minute drill where we're playing. I do not like because now Nussmeier's hesitant, Sloan's hesitant, Brian Kelly in between plays up and down the sidelines, creating, and Brian's a hell of a coach, but creating that hesitant, which you never want to play. If I told my linebacker hesitate, he'd never get into this. He'd never scrape into the guy who gets to the edge ever. So why in the world am I going to tell the guy who's got the ball in his hand 90 times in some games and still can't win? That's a problem.
Yeah, man, I would love to see them play fast. Like,
oh my gosh, I always say this, and I don't mean to interrupt you, Matty.
No, you're good.
For me, when people say, "Well, how do you, the adjustments?" The adjustments. Well, first of all, my number one adjustments are always subtle. To the fan, it's like when Detroit played horrible against the Texans in the first half last week, came on 5 picks and still won the game.
Right.
My guarantee this week on a show I do, pregame show on Sunday, I said my guarantee and lock of the week is Detroit. They were minus 14 against Jacksonville at home. I said, with Ben Johnson, I said, that's the lock of the week. Bet whatever you got on him. They'll have 20. I said they'll have 28 points at half. They did. I said I got a little lucky on that. I said they may hang 50 on him because the focus that locks in. They're going to go back and they are going to let it rip and dial in and go and play fast. And they're not hesitating at all after last week. Well, 52-6 or whatever it was, and you knew that was coming down the pike because that's who they are. When in doubt, those subtle changes you make. Sometimes that one change is, you know what? How often do we see a guy in a 2-minute drill that struggled move the football? Sometimes change in tempo gets you to the point where you're not thinking. You're just friggin' playing.
Yeah.
And when you take all the stuff out of it, bam, they're not substituting. You're going fast. Then you get hit 8 in a row. It's like, okay, I'm back to the confidence has grown. Quit. Overthinking is not only a sin, but a detriment to offensive football. And I would like to see, when in doubt, okay, we're not moving. Let's change up the tempo a little bit. Let's not huddle. Nobody huddles, but meaning let's play fast. Let's play that where we run 15 plays in the next, every 30 seconds. We got another play going. Sometimes a quarterback will get out of his head that way and just start playing what we do in the street, in the schoolyard, and you just start hitting the open guy, and before you know it, you're back into your rhythm. And to me, that's the quickest fix in the world, is playing fast when you're struggling. Or if you're a fast team, maybe once in a while you need to huddle. Let him gather it, depending on how it goes. I'm a big tempo guy when the quarterback's struggling, because then he takes thinking out of it and it becomes a reaction position.
Sean Salisbury is our guest. We'll knock out a quick break, come back, ask Sean's take on something I mentioned earlier about Darren Rizzi. You're only 2 games in, but when you're looking for a head coach, are you considering the coach or the culture? Which is more important? We'll get to that with Sean next. It's AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by River City's 1 Hour Air, where they're always on time or you don't pay a dime. 752-0001, 752-0001, or 1hourbr.com. Y'all give them a shout. Set up that preseason heater safety check. I tell you about it every single year, and I practice what I preach. River City's 1 Hour Air, they're coming to my house on Friday. I told you, Eric and I, we're part of their maintenance club. We got the maintenance club membership. I'm telling you, this pays for itself over the course of the year, because not only do you get front-of-the-line service, you get membership club pricing, but the seasonal maintenance I tell you all the time about, your heater safety check, your AC tune-up, those are complimentary for membership or for maintenance club members. So they call me, set this up, and I don't pay anything for it. It pays for itself. Not only is it going to make your system more efficient, it'll extend the life of your unit, and also, of course, when it comes to the heater safety check, it's about safety, keeping your family and your home safe during the warm weather months. River City's 1 Hour Air.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram can get you in a new 2025 Ram 1500 truck with $15,000 off MSRP. $15,000 off the newly designed Ram 1500 truck. All new Bayou Automotive vehicles come with a complimentary 7-year powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Welcome
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to...
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
Climb up in the loft, sit and talk with the radio.
All right, glad you're rolling along with us here. We always appreciate our friends at Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. Hey, remember, this Saturday is when they're giving away that John Deere Gator. Get your tickets. The raffle is this Saturday at the LSU Vanderbilt game. It's the LSU John Deere Gator. All proceeds from ticket sales benefit 4-H and FFA. So get your tickets at sunequip.com, sunequip.com. Sean Salisbury is our guest with us every Tuesday here. Love chopping it up with Sean. Hey, as we're going to break, Sean, I kind of posed that question hypothetically. With Darren Rizzi, we're looking at a guy that clearly has changed culture, but has never been an offensive or defensive coordinator. Neither had John Harbaugh, right? He was a special teams guy. There are those examples, and then there's the perfect blend of like an Andy Reid that's a culture guy that's also the play caller. Which would you, like if you're looking at the Saints with Darren Rizzi, if they continue on this role, I mean, how much do you dock him or knock him for not being a guy that's going to control one side of the ball?
Not 1 ounce. Matter of fact, I kind of like it. Why?
Okay.
Well, if I'm a head coach after all these years of playing offense, let's talk about human nature for a second. Do you think I'm all of a sudden going to be turned into a defensive coach and his favorite? I don't care what any coach tells us, Matty. If you're Jeff Fisher back in the day when he was coaching defense, or if you're Andy Reid, he gets out of Spagnola's way, right? You're an offensive guy. If you cut your teeth as an offensive guy, what's Nick Saban going to favor most of the time?
Defense.
Defensive backs and defense.
Yep.
When you're ahead, no matter what. Even though you're a head coach, you got to oversee it all. I've been with coaches. They got an offensive background in their head coaches now. Guess what they do most of the time during practice? They hover around the offense. They just do. It's human nature. It's just the way it is. If you started out as a singer and you got a couple acting roles along the way, and you show up and 15 of each are there, you're going to probably go to what you know. That's just the way it is. So in this case, you know why I like it? You don't have a favorite. You just don't. And I know it's like, we don't have favorite kids. We like them all. But, my firstborn, okay. or whatever it is, everybody has something that they and I know it sounds crazy, but I am in my career seeing it. Offensive guys tend to favor their offensive practice field. Defensive guys, some guys, if they're really into it, They don't. You'll hear teams when they're not winning. Well, he didn't even spend any time with the defense or any time with the offense. Human nature. You hang around your environment that you're used to, and I think that especially when you're a first-time head coach or an interim head coach, if you're offense or defense. But why I like it, and you mentioned Andy Reid, and you know who John Harbaugh's coach was. You do. When he was in Philadelphia, was Andy Reid, culture guy. And when it first happens, we all of a sudden think, well, why would you hire a special teams coach? Well, because John was damn good. He's a culture guy and understood what Andy was trying to teach. And then you hire guys on both sides. There is no, and I'm not saying they intentionally favor somebody. It's just human nature to be around what you're even more comfortable with or what you've cut your teeth doing. Nick Saban at practice, I'll guarantee you, hangs around the defensive backfield because if you're a defensive backs coach with Nick Saban and you screw up, you won't be long for the job, okay? Less patience there. It's the same anywhere else. So I could care less what side of the ball you coach, and I definitely could care less if you're a special team coach, and it's the chicken or the egg. Does winning come before culture or culture come before winning? And I think in my time, it's the culture, the environment, the buy-in comes before the winning. You can win some games just because you're talented. I think to sustain winning, culture comes first. And we use that word a lot, whether it's culture, buy-in, everybody on the same page, respect, all those kind of bunched into one thing. So I have zero problem with it. If you get guys to do more than they can do or than they're used to doing, that's who I want as my head coach. I can find X's and O's guys. I always can. And if they don't work, I'll find the next one. They all know X's and O's. Leadership's not easy to get because it's also not popular because you're going to piss people off along the way. Buy-in's tough to get because you don't want to be kissing somebody's backside, but you also want to make the player know that you got their back. So it's trust and it's transparency, all those things that some coordinators that get to be head coaches or assistants that get to be head coaches, they just don't quite grasp that. And they go back to their position coach or coordinating. Some just aren't good at it. Then you get some that are good at both, Andy Reid. You get some that are good at knowing how to be a head coach or yell and scream, but aren't good at making sure everybody there's a trust factor because they're a coach and a general manager. They're too close to the front. There's a lot of different layers to it. You give me a guy who gets people believing they can do more than they do and hiring the right staff when it's now an interim coach doesn't get much chance to do that, but the players get to a point where they say, I'll do anything for him. And then the X's and O's come, but I'll take culture and leadership and buy-in over you coached. And I've seen way too many offensive and defensive coordinators that were great at coordinating. They become head coaches and couldn't run their own nose, let alone run a team. So I'll take that anytime. The fact that Rizzi's a special teams coach has zero to do. And if he can be 90% or 80% of John Harbaugh and he gets this gig and they play well and the buy-in continues, why do you have to go look for a sexier name because he's a coordinator? I think it's overrated being a coordinator to be a head coach. I do. I don't think it's necessary if you're a great leader. Great leaders come in all shapes and sizes, and they don't need to be able to call defensive plays or offensive plays. That's why I empower those guys I hire to do that.
Yeah.
Okay. They know the X's and O's. You go take care of your guys. I'll oversee that. Now, what do you think Rizzi's going to do during special teams?
He's locked in, dog.
Oh, of course he is.
He is
of
locked
course
in.
He is. And even if he turned it over to a special teams coordinator, you know damn well if they screw up and are out of their lane, who do you think's getting the wrath of it? The special teams coach. That's human nature.
When they blocked the field goal against Atlanta, it looked like his head was going to explode.
Nuts. Oh, there's no doubt. There is no doubt. So to me, leadership, buy-in, culture comes before winning, and also is the number. Those are the traits I need in a head coach. I got plenty of X's and O's guys. Now, to oversee it and say, I don't want to do that, we're playing great defense, run the football, fine. That's why you're the head coach. Those are the tough decisions and when to go for it, when we're punting, when do we go for it on fourth down. But give me leadership. And for the first two games, and this was about as balanced attack, big plays, Taysom Hill getting involved, catching it, running it, Kamara getting involved. I mean, every Carr was efficient with the football. And then their fourth quarter, they closed it out. So it was impressive. And at 2-0, I'm not ready to move on from him and automatically, and interim coaches usually do get fired.
Yeah.
But I got to see this through and find out what this team does down the stretch. And if his impact is really this powerful, if it is, I don't need a sexier name to be my head coach.
Okay, that's a great segue. So there's 6 games left. They're going into their bye this week. They come out. Give me just a reaction thought to these. You come out your bye, you're at home against the Rams. Thoughts?
Oh, winnable. There's no question. Now, what you have is a healthy Rams. You know what they're going to do. They're going to drop back and get those guys. You got to play in that game. You got to make sure that those two receivers, Puka and Kupp, don't take over the game.
Yeah.
Hit Matt Stafford. That's a winnable game. And you said they're in New Orleans, right?
That's in New Orleans.
Definite winnable game. It's a Dow Jones. The West is winnable as well, but that's definitely winnable the way they've been playing the last 2 weeks.
You go to the Giants, where you're going to face Tommy DeVito.
If you don't win that game, then take 2 weeks off and quit football. They're awful.
You're home against the Commanders.
That'll be a tough one.
It's tough.
That's tough. You got to, as we well know, the quarterback's pretty damn good. And talk about culture change.
Yeah.
Look what Dan Quinn's done. Turn it over to those guys. I'll kind of oversee some defense and do all that, but let Cliff take care of that. And they got a good quarterback. That'll be a tough one. Today, I would favor Washington going into that game.
Then you're at Green Bay, home against the Raiders, at the Bucs. That's how you finish.
Green Bay will be tough.
Yeah.
At home, but you can win the Bucs game. They got some Dow Jones in them too. And what was the other game?
So it's at Green Bay, home against Las Vegas, then at the Bucs.
4-2, easily capable. Is that 6 games? Is that what you said, or are we at 5?
If they go 4-2,
on
top of the 2 they've already won, that means he would have gone 6-2 in his 8-game stretch as an interim. That's hard to deny, huh?
Especially when you go in and everybody has kind of left you for dead. Oh, it's kind of an interim coach. We know he's getting fired. They're going to go do all kinds of different things. No, if that's the case, and players go to bat for him. Now, I'm not saying player empowerment gets the coach hired, but say, you know what he's done is change the way we think. And Mickey and the group say, you know what? Why do I need to go? I got him in-house. Because then you're going to fire a whole staff. You're going to move on from everybody, and you're going to have to redo the thing and hope that the next coordinator or retread is going to be he gets buy-in. And what it is if you don't get that, all of a sudden you're like, well, they got rid of the guy we wanted. So you go in with a negative, the negative thought. If he's able to go 4-2 or even 3-3 the last 6 games, I think you have to strongly consider it. And when you have it in house and you don't have to change much in the verbiage and everything, there's a comfortability, not a complacency, but a comfortability. I think that it'll be one of those coaches that you have to keep. You'll consider others, but matter of fact, if it gets to the point where they're like 4-1 and they're waiting on the last game, get it done soon so you go into the offseason knowing. Don't leave any doubt. If he's able to pull that off with what they've been through, I got no problem hiring him.
He's Sean Salisbury. What it reminds me a little bit of, Sean, if it gets to that point? Miami had Dan Campbell as an interim head coach.
They blew that.
They blew it. They could have hired him. Didn't.
Because
they were looking for the better name. And I mean,
they were bigger and sexier. And you know what? How many times is supposed to be bigger and more pub and everybody knows him has fizzled? Hire the guy who gets people to buy into what you're trying to teach, and watch it. Just watch it bloom, man. I'm past the point of the sexy. If the sexy name's Andy Reid, great. How many of those guys are there?
Right.
But only way we find out about a guy like Rizzi is hire him. Yeah. And let's see what he does. And the great thing now, see real quick. I know I'm late, Matt.
No, you're good.
Is if he only had – normally we fire coaches at the end of seasons, right, like with 3 games to go, and they don't really have a chance to put their – even if they go 2-1, we say, well, let's move on.
Good point.
The fact that he would get – what would that be, 8 games?
8 games.
Right, half a season. Now he gets to put his stamp on it. And a 5-3, 6-2, you're like, okay, he's had enough time to let us see what they're doing. If they end up going 6-2, why in the hell do you need to leave the building? And it's not going to cost you $6, $7, $8 million to do it.
Yeah, that's a good point. You would have a large enough sample where you could say, hell, he coached the team.
Instead of the 2-game throwaway that everybody's got their car started and their golf clubs in the trunk, right?
That's a good
This
point.
at least gives me a body of work to say, oh, look what he's done. Come from behind. Have a big fourth quarter. Get guys to play well. Running game. Get to all these things. Empower him. If they get to that point and take care of it like we just said, Mickey doesn't need to go outside the building.
He's Sean Salisbury at Sean Unfiltered. Y'all give him a follow. You catch him every weekday morning there, Sports Talk 790 in Houston. He's the best. Sean, we appreciate you, man. Thank you.
Love it, brother. Thank you. Appreciate you.
We'll do it again next week. It's after further review. We'll knock out a quick break. Tiger basketball back on the hardwood, taking on Charleston Southern. Quick thumbnail preview that next on AFR.
AFR.
Y'all, Thanksgiving is a week from Thursday. Rouse's still giving you that free turkey with the purchase of a ham. It's easy. Buy a ham, get a turkey. You can get all the details at Rouses.com, Rouses.com. You buy Hormel Cure 81 Spiral Slice ham for $2.99 a pound. You get a 14-pound grade A frozen butterball turkey over at Rouses, absolutely free. Of course, it's with the in-store purchase, minimum $25 in-store purchase. Get limit one per customer. Get all the deets over there at Rouses.com, Rouses.com. You buy a ham, you get a turkey. They're taking care of all the protein for your Thanksgiving dinner over at Rouses. But if you need all the holiday sides as well, they can help you over at Rouses. You want to just grab and go, they'll prepare it for you. You just heat and eat over at Rouses, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints, with locations, more than 70 locations now, from Lake Charles to Orange Beach, Alabama, points in between. It's Rouses. Rouses.com, Rouses.com. Rouses, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints.
Join us at Pro Dreams in Mandeville for our special event, A Day of Champions. Meet LSU National Championship winning head coaches Jay Johnson, Skip Burtman, and Paul Maneri. Don't miss your chance to purchase authentic sports memorabilia, autographed by the champions themselves. It's the perfect opportunity to celebrate LSU baseball and take home a piece of history. Visit pro-dreams.com to get your tickets. See you there.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
At Atmos Energy, our Smart Choice solutions help customers save energy and emissions with rebates up to $500 off high-efficiency natural gas appliances, smart thermostats, and weatherization upgrades. Together, we're fueling our energy future.
Looking for the ultimate game day experience? Come to the Queen Casino in Baton Rouge. Savor game day platters and snacks, plus drink specials at 1717 Kitchen and Cocktail. So come out for game day and let our team make you the MVP. The Queen Casino, where every moment is a win.
Let's talk turkey. Bayou Ford can get you in a new 2024 Ford F-150 with $15,000 off MSRP. $15,000 off America's favorite F-150 truck. All new Bayou automotive vehicles come with a complimentary 7-year powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
In hindsight, obviously, I don't think it's ideal to go play at Kansas State in your third game, with 4 freshmen. But credit to our players. They handled it the right way and took advantage of the opportunity. Now we got to build on it. We got to keep getting better. Ball security obviously has to improve. And credit to our players. I think it was one game. Very excited about the outcome and the result, but they came in Sunday ready to get better and improve our team, take advantage of this opportunity to play in the PMAC tomorrow night, and then we'll get ready for the tournament.
How do you handle success? We'll start to learn with Matt McMahon's squad. Tigers and the Charleston Southern Buccaneers tip off in an hour and 21 minutes from right now over at the PMAC. Tigers are a massive favorite. The line is 26.5. It tells you a little bit something about Charleston Southern. Last time out, they lost to VMI, the Keydets. 80-69. So this is a Charleston Southern team that's 1-4. Tigers are 3-0. Charleston Southern 0-2 away from home. Charleston Southern leads the Big South with nearly 18 assists per game, but this is a game that LSU should be able to work on them and get through this ball game. One bit of housekeeping here. Matt McMahon gave an update on Derek Fountain, who missed the game against Kansas State. Here's what he said.
We're hoping to have him for the tournament this weekend, but he was out of practice yesterday. I expect him to be out again today, and we're targeting Friday as his potential return.
Of course, it's worth mentioning that with Derek Fountain out against Kansas State, Corey Chest, who had only played 3 minutes against ULM, he didn't play at all against Alabama State, went and played, got 13 rebounds in that game against Kansas State. Like, it is very clear Corey Chest played 21 minutes and grabbed 13 boards, 3 offensive, 10 defensive, only scored 5 points. But if you have a role on this team where it's, hey, come off the bench and go grab me double-digit rebounds, awesome. You can play for me. And clearly that's a role that he took advantage of with the opportunity with Derek Fountain not being there against Kansas State. You went on the road and you got it done. The other thing that Matt McMahon talked about was the defense that LSU has played so far through 3 games. Look, going on the road and holding that Kansas State team to 65 points was impressive.
I love the defensive scheme. I think our guys have been really bought in there. When you have rim protection, it allows you to be aggressive defensively. And I think Damian Collins, first couple games, Derek Fountain, Corey Chest last game, doing a really good job there. It's allowed our guards to really get after it on the perimeter and defend the 3. As far as getting better, it's seen us get beat some one-on-one off the bounce, which is going to happen, but we got to play better one-on-one defense and then better team defense in those situations. And I thought you saw a lot of improvement in those 2 areas at Kansas State.
I'll tell you, Damian Collins is fun to watch as well. If you're not familiar, Collins was a top 100 player, signed with Kentucky. He came to LSU this year out of the transfer portal, and he has had some explosive blocks, some rim rocking dunks. I mean, he is a fun guy to watch. So this is a team with talent, man. They went in the portal. They grabbed 3 veteran guards out of the portal. Clearly, I mean, you know the old cliche, you need good guard play to win in March, and the Tigers have it. They have 3 veteran guards that can all handle the basketball, that can all score. They've got rim protection. They got guys that can finish around the rim. They can stretch the floor. I mean, they look like a complete team. Look, you're 3 games in. I'm not sitting here crowning them, but my feeling on this team was, if you just look at it as in stair steps, right, in progress. Year 1 was a punt. Year 2, I think they were ahead of schedule getting to the NIT, getting to postseason play. This is a team that should hear their name called on Selection Sunday. I don't know what the voters were doing in the SEC that voted this team 14th. I understand this is a very good SEC, maybe the best SEC we've seen for as long as I've covered the league. I mean, you heard Jimmy Ott say it last week. He thinks Alabama's the best team in the country, and they may be. You got John Calipari going to Arkansas, which we all assume is going to make that team better and certainly more talented. But this is a team that has they were 500 in conference a year ago. And they're going to be better this year. They have an opportunity to be an NCAA tournament team. I think they should be. This will be interesting with this Greenbrier event going. You'll take on Charleston Southern tonight. Each team in the Greenbrier, Matt McMahon kind of explained this when he was here with us on Friday. Each team in that Greenbrier event, you get a home game, and then you go to the Greenbrier and you play in sort of that round robin. So the Tigers will play Pitt coming up here on Friday at the Greenbrier. But here was Matt McMahon a little bit more on this event there at the Greenbrier.
You know me, Michael, I'm just looking at this game tomorrow night. We got to go 1-0 tomorrow night. But when you look at the field, it's an incredible field. Pitt just won by 30 over West Virginia. Wisconsin just scored 130 or something points against Arizona. Central Florida already has a win over Texas A&M. So it's a great field. I think those neutral site games are priceless and more quad one opportunities for our team here in November.
You'll learn a lot about the team. And one of the things we've often talked about with LSU is until you build your program to a point where you're going to be able to attract some of those home-and-home series, you're going to have to go play events like this. Like currently LSU through 3 games, the net ranking is 94. Let's see tonight's not going to help, but when you go to the Greenbrier and you play Pitt. Maybe you line up against if it's excuse me, maybe Wisconsin. See what that does for your net ranking. You have to go play these types of events to get the opportunity to boost your net ranking, because you're not going to schedule Duke or Kansas or North Carolina or Syracuse. Like those teams aren't going to play you. So these are the opportunities you have to make the most of. We'll see what they can do. Another opportunity tonight. Hey, we're brought to you by Evermore. As a matter of fact, excuse me. I needed a sip. A little frog in my throat. Drink Evermore, y'all. EVA-MOR. You can buy Evermore online, have it shipped directly to your home, to your office, evermore.com, evermore.com. Or you can find Evermore at great local retailers. You go to the website, evermore.com, find a store near you. You can find that store locator to see where you can pick it up at great retailers all over the country. Like Evermore, this is a Louisiana product, y'all. There's a natural artesian well in Covington on the North Shore of Louisiana, right there on the premises where the bottling plant is, and they ship nationally. Like they got a national deal with 7-Eleven. I mean, we've told you Cloth and Nuss, the Olympic beach volleyball players, they've got a deal. Dak Prescott has a deal. I mean, it's an incredible product, an incredible success story. So I tell you all the time, don't buy that water from Texas. Don't buy it from a foreign country just because you think it sounds sexy because it's from a different country. Support a great Louisiana business. It's natural artesian water. It's a better source of hydration. Go read the reviews and try it today. It's Evermore. EVA-MOR, evermore.com, evermore.com. Real quick before we get to Otterlocks, Dabo Sweeney's at it again, and this is something worth watching with the roster change. Remember, the SEC announced they will not institute the 105 scholarships this year. They're going to stay to the 85-man scholarships for 2025. But apparently the ACC is moving in that direction, and Dabo doesn't like it.
Obviously, we have to cut a lot of guys this year. It's terrible. It's the worst thing in my whole coaching career in what's going on. But we've got to cut a bunch of kids that have been in our program. So I've given all of them an option. If they are, a fourth year, then they have the option to be honored as a senior. They've earned that. And some of these kids would be back for their fifth year next year, and they're not going to have the opportunity to do that. And that's sad, but that's the way it is.
I understand the point about walk-ons. And Dabo started his career as a walk-on at Alabama. So I understand that point that he's making, that a lot of people will make about that. The other side of it is it's going to give more kids scholarship opportunities. You're going from 85 to 105 scholarships. The kids that maybe wouldn't have ever had an opportunity to play at a school like LSU or Clemson now have a scholarship opportunity at a place like that. It might cut down on some of the transferring from the G5 to the Power 5 because those kids, instead of going G5 and then transferring, may start at a Power 5 and stay in that school. There's pros and cons to everything in life, and I understand what he's saying, but I think ultimately this is going to be a good thing for college football. All right, Otterlocks with Jimmy out to wrap up the show next on AFR.
After further review.
Brought to you by Duplessis Builders. You can go to duplessisbuilders.net. I'm going to start sharing a lot of these reviews because I love telling you more and more about not just, lots of places build beautiful pools, but at Duplessis, the things that set them apart, number one, their workmanship. Because of their attention to detail, they offer a 10-year workmanship warranty where the industry standard is 1. And obviously, the way they treat their customers. Here's a Google review from the Bellard family. Excellent to work with from start to finish on our new pool. Dawn was great in helping us get the pool and the water features we wanted to fit in our backyard. The construction process went smoothly. Derek and his crews got the job done sooner than expected after the job was complete. Derek always responds quickly with our questions. We had an issue recently with the pool equipment. They came out that day, repaired the problem. Quality work and professionalism from their team. I highly recommend Duplessis Builders for your new pool. You've probably heard horror stories of some contractors with pools. Not Duplessis. DuplessisBuilders.net.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram can get you in a new 2025 Ram 1500 truck with $15,000 off MSRP. $15,000 off the newly designed Ram 1500 truck. All new Bayou Automotive vehicles come with a complimentary 7-year powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
Down the stretch we come. Final segment here on a Tuesday edition of AFR. Always appreciate our friends over at Sunshine. Get you a John Deere for zero-turn mowers, top of the tractors, all the great farm equipment. Get it there at sunequip.com, sunequip.com. All right, time for Auto Locks.
Auto Locks.
All right, time to win some money.
Presented by Lofton Staffing Services. At Lofton, we put people to work. Call us today at 924-0200 or go to lofton.jobs.
I think it's safe to say that I won the bet.
Otter, how are you?
Hey, Matt, what's going on?
Another day, wrapping it up. Good night last night. Hit with the Texans. Some of the props not as good, but all in all, hit with the NBA play last night. Pretty good night. What are we looking at today?
Well, we go through the MAC first tonight, and the key team that we like tonight is Western Michigan.
Okay.
Central Michigan has only scored 10 points a game, 30 total in their last 3 conference games. So Western Michigan is averaging 34 points a game. So it's going to be hard for Central Michigan to keep up with Western's offense tonight. So laying the 6.5 in that one.
Okay, all right. So Western Michigan laying 6. By the way, there's a profit boost. I'm looking at right here on DraftKings for the MACtion tonight as well. So you can take advantage of that if you want to jump board. All right, so Western Michigan laying the 6. And what's the other one?
The other one is Miami, Ohio. We're going to go with them against, hold on one second, make sure you have -1.5.
Yep.
And so we're going to go with them against Northern Illinois. Northern Illinois has won their last 2 conference games after starting 1-3, but on the road here, Miami, Ohio, we like them in a big way. And then our third pick is the NBA. We had the Celtics. The line has moved.
Yeah.
Since we put it out, it's going from 5.5 to 7.5. So being a little creative here. And this is the 15-0 Cavaliers, who we've been on a lot, and they go to Boston to take on the defending champs, and also their division leading team as well. So, Matt, it's let's get creative here.
Okay.
We got Key Western Michigan. So we'll take Western Michigan money line. The Akron money line. They play Kent State. Kent State's 0-10, but 10.5 points on the road. I'm not going to lay that. And then the Celtics money line, which will come back about 167, 170.
All right. Akron money line. We're going to add Western Michigan money line. And we're going to add the Celtics.
Money line.
That's coming back at
1 minute remaining.
Plus $1.53.
It's moving the other way. It was 167.
Did I do it?
I put it
Akron minus 395. Western Michigan minus 218. And then the Celtics minus 258 is plus 153. Is that what you're coming back in? It's come back at plus $1.53.
Yeah, it's moving. So
all right, I'll take it. I'll take it.
Yeah, it was 167. 5 minutes ago. So anyway, but yeah. So they I think a lot of people coming in on the Celtics.
Good.
It's getting ready to tip too in about 5 minutes.
All right, Otter, where are you tomorrow?
We're at Roca Pizzeria on Government Street in Mid-City.
Great spot, man. Jimmy and Charles live at lunch weekdays 11 to 1. You can watch them now on the 104.5 ESPN YouTube channel as well. Thank you, Otter.
All right, good luck.
All right, same to you. You can get Otter Locks at LouisianaSports.net. All right, that'll do it for us. Muse Pauly, thanks. Y'all have an awesome night. We'll see you tomorrow at 3.
After further review.
Friday, yours truly will be at Supper Club. Looking forward to it. We'll double date, get off the show, pop over to Supper Club. I don't know, man. Might eat a steak. I'll tell you what I'm kind of fiending for is that veal parm. I've told y'all about it before. Listen, here's maybe the most gigantic misconception about Supper Club is you have to go just spend a ton of money. Listen, if you want to go to Supper Club and buy the Japanese omi beef that's the preferred beef of the emperor of Japan that they fed the samurai 400 years ago, you could do that. You want to go have a $5,000 bottle of wine, you could do that at Supper Club. Man, you want to go have the best veal parm you will ever eat in your life, some sea bass, which would be the best piece of fish that you'll ever eat in your life, and have it same price you would at any other fine dining restaurant. You could do that at Supper Club as well, but what you will never get anywhere other than Supper Club is that dining experience. You got to check it out. It's Supper Club. Get your reservations. SupperClubBTR.com.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks